regime, Ahmad Sharia, stated on Wednesday that individuals responsible for torturing and killing thousands of detainees will not receive pardons. Donald Trump hailed Chris Wray's resignation as FBI director, calling it a great day for America.
President-elect Trump has selected Kash Patel to take over Wray's position at the FBI, pending Senate approval. Trump, in a statement issued shortly after the announcement, criticized Wray and commended Patel.
Consumer prices increased by 2.7% in November compared to the same period last year, marking an uptick from the previous month.
This development could influence the Federal Reserve as it considers an anticipated interest rate cut next week.
A U.S. bankruptcy judge has blocked the sale of conspiracy theorist Alex Jones's InfoWars media platform to the satirical outlet The Onion.
The Onion had secured the right to purchase InfoWars in a bankruptcy auction on November 14th.
The opinions expressed on this program are those of the host or guest and should not be interpreted as statement of fact. Independent fact-checking and corrections are encouraged.
Can we get a cup of coffee in here, please?
Oh. What's going on there? We'll see about this.
Damn good coffee. And hot.
Hot coffee.
My dog is your mind's best friend.
My dog is your mind's best friend.
Wake up, America. You've got a dog that needs walking. That's right, sunshine. Just put on a big pot of strong coffee and get ready to type your little hate mail with your opinions about kumbaya and flat earth insanity. Stand-up comedy? You want stand-up comedy? Well, we've got sit-down comedy. It's time for Coffee with the Dog.
I don't know.
You make me laugh.
Is my audio working? Or StreamYard screwing me up again? Hello, checking one. Yeah. Hello. Who cares? Who cares? You don't care. Nobody cares. The band doesn't care. And by the way, I love you. Good morning, folks. Friday. It's Friday. Hey, it's Friday. Friday the 13th. Oh, that's bad. Bad luck. Most Fridays are good Fridays, but Friday the 13th, I don't know. Well, at least we made it through another week. So, there's that. Good morning. Hope it's Friday the 13th, 2024, in case somebody is scrolling through and doesn't know what year it is. You got that now. I just feel like my color's a little off. Do I look a little pale to you, Doc? I don't know. I'm ready to enjoy the... Anyway, let's just move on here. The drone thing. I'm perplexed by the drone thing. As you may or not be aware, New Jersey, they call it the Garden State. Garden of what? More like a horse manure state. But it is directly across from the South Shore of Long Island where I am. So, we're getting at it, the drone thing, right? The drone thing that everybody is seeing. People are videoing it everywhere. People seeing drones everywhere. And then the United States government is coming out and saying, no, forget what you see. Forget the videos. Forget what your friends are telling you. Nothing abnormal is happening. They're all just planes and helicopters, normal air traffic. And then law enforcement in New Jersey saying, yeah, we're seeing them. Now, yesterday, somebody claimed FOTS were fired. Shots were fired. FOTS were fired. They didn't say if the shots, the FOTS, were from the drones or at the drones. But it's only a matter of time before some redneck Billy Bob says, I get my shotgun out and shoot one of these suckers down. That can't be a good thing in any way. Let law enforcement deal with it, but law enforcement can't tell you, no, it's not happening. You're just imagining it. And then the FAA is saying, no, nothing abnormal is going on. This is just normal air traffic. Well, what are all these things people are seeing? Everywhere. Now, coming back to the Long Island thing, New Jersey is right across. Long Island doesn't face due south. It's not like we face the South Shore here just faces straight down to Antarctica and whatever. We're kind of tilted, so we face the Jersey Shore. And people are saying these things are coming out of the water. I was tempted last night. I did not do this, but I was tempted to go down to the South Shore and see if I could see things coming out of the water. Now, I did look up to the south and saw things. They don't look like planes or helicopters. Lights, funny. They look like drones. I don't know what they are, but the government can't just tell people. It's all your imagination. That's not going to help because clearly a lot of people are seeing something. Could be. My wife texted me from the gym. She said, "What do you think? What's your opinion on the drones?" No, she doesn't ask my opinion a lot, and I did a stupid thing. I'm copping to another stupid thing. It's not like I don't do stupid things here every single day. But I jumped immediately to parrot a conspiracy theory that I read on Twitter as if I didn't put any thought into it. But I did put some thought into it, and it does seem to make a little bit of sense. Here it is. People are suggesting that it might be Iran. It might be Iran. It depends on if you're, I can't even remember the woman's name now, the CNN reporter. Iran, I think is how it's pronounced, not Iran. Iran. You know the place. Anyway, they put a hit on Trump before the election, and people are saying because it's over Bedminster, where his golf course is, that these are drones just surveilling the area for a plan to take him out after he's inaugurated. Now, why not just go down to Mar-a-Lago? Well, I don't know. Maybe they're being kind. They just want to take out one guy. But I know that Iran, get it right, dude. Get it right, you fucking loser. There had been reports that they had violated international waters and were coming very close to the shores of the United States. Now, I don't know if they have like sophisticated submarines and stuff like that. I'm sure they probably do. They got plenty of money, right? Yeah. So it's possible. So, but that's what I told her. And I felt bad that I told her that without it. I didn't do any fucking homework into this thing. It just sounded like it made sense to me. And that's dumb. And I apologize for being dumb. I apologize to the whole world for just being dumb. But I do think it's worth looking into, investigating, and finding out exactly what the fuck is going on with these drones, man. Anyway, be curious to see what you have to say. We're going to talk about, people say, what the fuck is the point of this show? Because we used to be a lot of comedians and musicians, but lately lots and lots of authors. Today, we have an author who's a psychologist in the second hour. Her book is And By the Way, I Love You, which is a novel. I'm not sure exactly how much the psychology plays into that, but she also writes psychology textbooks, which might be helpful for figuring out why the fuck we do what we do here every day. Because we're certainly not talking to a lot of comedians and musicians anymore. And I want to get back, especially the musicians. Lately, I've been inspired by Rick Beato interviewing people like Dweezil Zappa and Steve Lukather. Now, Steve Lukather is not all that recent, and Michael McDonald and Roger Waters he's been interviewing a lot of really cool people in music. And So Steve Lukather is something new. He's done that, but I watched it for the third time last night because Steve Lukather is the coolest, great musician I've ever seen in an interview. It's I kind of guy you want to have a beer with, even if you don't drink beer. If you don't just want to drink coffee with and to pretend it's beer and hang out with him. So I want to get back to that. I don't know if we can get back to that. We might have gone too far down the author hole. Yeah, your author hole. To be taken seriously by these musicians. But you know what? I definitely want to do that. Anyway, so in the first hour, we're going to meet a couple who is on a mission to get 100 people to invest in multifamily properties, real estate investing. That's not they don't have a book. This is not authorship. This is real estate investing. Now, I have no fucking money. If it's no money down stuff, sure, I'm there. What's going on here? Who is that? Who is that? Oh, anyway. So I don't know if you're interested in real estate. Maybe we'll, as a show, we'll just invest in a multifamily real estate thing, and then do the show from there. We'll just like a 4-family thing. That's a bad idea, right? I don't know. Anyway, so if people can't figure out the point of this show with the authors, we're really going to be confusing them with the real estate thing. I did used to do a business edition of the Mind Dog TV podcast at 1 p.m., which was, believe it or not, a moneymaker. That was a profitable venture because, you know, there were a lot of entrepreneurs who were tuning in and taking advantage of some of the advertisers who were geared towards entrepreneurial investment, like Fundwise Capital. Well, you could still go there if you need a loan. Go to fundwisecapital.com/minddog. Get yourself a loan. Get yourself some money, and then you can get into real estate investment. Unless you got like the shittiest credit like me. So anyway, I'm getting out of here. I'm going to play a commercial, and I'm going to go look for drones off my south side of my property and see what I can see. So the government can tell me, you're just imagining things. Everybody's just imagining things. Will you chill out? There's nothing going on. We'll talk about that. I know Steven's excited about this. He just wet his pants just thinking about, oh, drone. I want to talk about drones. Anyway, I talk about Daily High Club, because Daily High Club has a special right now, Christmas special, where you can get 20% off your box. You want a box, don't you? I want a box. You can get 20% off if you use the code MINDDOG, all capitals, MINDDOG at dailyhighclub.com. Use our affiliate link too. That's in the description. And don't get high daily. I do. You should too.
With humble East Coast beginnings in 2015, Daily High Club is the premier destination for glass water pipes, vaporizers, and consumption accessories. If you're looking to elevate your smoking game to the next level, you're in the right place. With over 1 million top-quality smoking products sold, and with a growing base of over 10,000 monthly subscribers worldwide, we deliver the ultimate smoking experience. But Daily High Club is not just a retailer, we're lovers of the smoking scene ourselves, working with giants like Tommy Chong, Snoop Dogg, Chanel West Coast, and more. Ready to join the Daily High Club? Let our experts curate your collection with our awesome El Primo monthly subscription box, or grab one of our fun and unique pieces from our smoke shop.
Oh, we can just
click
grab
the link in the description
below
below this video to get this party started now.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. In the room with me. What are you? You're getting high, aren't you? You're getting high now. In the room with me are Steven, the I'm Getting High Already sitcom Ortiz, Rodney. I got to get out by 10 because I can't fucking take it anymore. And you're bringing my fucking reputation down with this shitty show, Kane. And GD, I have no drones in my neighborhood, so I don't give a fuck, Penderson.
Good morning, America. MindDogTV.com. Are you tired of people taking your shame out of context? Put your shame back in context. In fact, Swallow your shame with a heaping scoop of ice cream. Sponsored by National Ice Cream Day, which should be celebrated in the Southern Hemisphere this year. I don't know why today is National Ice Cream Day. It doesn't make sense. It's December, but what the fuck? It's not my calendar.
Right.
MindDogTV.com. Enjoy the suffering and support your local mercenaries.
Yeah.
You sure it's not Ice Cream Day?
Well, for those of you who don't understand the inside jokes of G.D. Fenderson, this shame, putting your shame in context, is our second guest has got some information about that. I don't know what it means. Put your shame in context. We're gonna ask her about that. What the fuck does that mean, you crazy psychologist? But so a lot of people didn't even have any clue what you were talking about, shame and context.
That's okay. They'll get it later, maybe.
No, they should just be ashamed of themselves for not knowing. Or you should be ashamed of yourself for saying it. And I should be ashamed of myself for bringing it up.
You should be ashamed of yourself for attacking my shame. You should be ashamed. I
am ashamed. I walk around, I don't know if you notice this because I wear it well, but I walk around in shame most of my life. Other than that, I'm laying down in shame. I pretty much stay in shame.
That's
shame
what that smell is. Okay.
Yeah. At least shame doesn't stain.
Right. What do you think about the drones? Come on, spill on your theory on the drones.
I think the U.S. is using American citizens as guinea pigs to experiment with their drone technology. Or it's from Iran. I mean, it's one of two things. They're not UFOs.
Wow, it's just one of two things. It couldn't be like Amazon delivering your Christmas presents.
No, not doing what those are doing. But no, I mean, I don't know what it is. The government's being super fishy about it. That's for sure.
I think you guys are missing the whole point. I
am missing the whole point.
Yeah.
You're right.
You haven't been watching television lately, have you? There are a bunch of of course you haven't, Matt, but there are commercials all over the place for people wanting new SUVs for Christmas. This has been Santa delivering those SUVs for Christmas.
SUVs?
SUVs. He's starting in Jersey, and then he'll do the other 49 states as we get closer to Christmas.
Now, why New Jersey?
I guess it's the smell. I don't know.
Isn't Jersey? Well, that's what makes this weird, right? Because these are like New Jersey is it's the most densely populated state in the U.S., right?
No,
so
I know their population is dense, but I just thought that was an intellectual thing.
Yeah, where you get off? Where you get off? What the hell? What the hell are you trying to say? Oh, what am I doing?
What I'm saying is I think these are domestic drones, and I think it's either the government or somebody fucking around is what it is.
But they're coming out and telling people and ignore your eyes. This is like straight out of George Orwell. It's not real. You forget what you see. That's not. Stop it. Just stop it. You just imagine it.
I think they're ours because, like I said, when those stupid balloons floated across our country, we sent F-16s after them.
Not right away. We let them.
Not right away, but they didn't stay there for days.
Everyone knows that these drones are out there flying, and they're lowering the prices in grocery stores. That's what they're doing.
No.
As they're flying over.
Well, if you want to go there, first of all, you can't say that word without paying a residual to Donald Trump. He invented that word, groceries. I don't know. Nobody ever said that word before him. Did you know that?
If he's really taking credit for that, I'm gonna go do the deed myself.
It's not unusual. He does take credit for words that have been around.
I know he does. I've heard him say other words like that and make that claim. But if he's claiming the word groceries, I'm gonna stab him.
He did the other day in that interview with that Fox woman that he attacked afterwards. There's something muffled in your microphone there. I don't know, Stephen. You're a little muffled. It's not terrible. I mean, don't go buying a new mic or having a drone deliver a new mic or whatever you do there.
I can't get a fucking drone mic delivery because they're all in New Jersey.
But he did take credit for groceries. Then he said, I won on groceries. And then he said, it's really hard to bring down the prices of groceries when asked if he was going to do anything about bringing the price. So he won on the promise he was going to bring down groceries really fast, the price of groceries, which he invented that word. he was going to bring down the price really fast, and now he's saying, it's an awful hard thing to do. I don't know if I could do that. I can't make any promises now.
It's funny that you see all these stories popping up about, like, the groceries is one thing, like, like, oh, he lied about this. It's like, we're really doing this? You're saying this out loud? Everyone fucking knows he's a liar, and you're surprised.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, see, they voted, those who voted for him voted for this. Don't be surprised. Those of us who didn't vote for him already knew about this. Don't be surprised. Don't ignore it. Don't be surprised.
Right. What do you make of all the leftists who are becoming right wingers now, or becoming Trumpers somehow? TNT people who seem to be getting into tech. John Fetterman, the Democratic senator, who seems to be. Everybody's like trying to kiss his ass, like maybe hoping that they aren't on his enemies list. What do you think?
Well, Fetterman, I don't think Fetterman is trying to kiss his ass. I think Fetterman by nature is a contrarian. Whatever the stream is doing, and since he's a Democrat, whatever the Democrats are doing, I think he wants to be on the outskirts of the other side of that. It's like, we all have to wear suits. I'm sorry, I'm 7'9". I can't find a suit that fits. Shaquille O'Neal
could. He is a fucking weird-looking lurch dude.
Dude, he's a fucking freaky-looking dude. Every time I see him on the screen, I get weird vibes. I don't like it.
So he's a contrarian. In the case of like TNT and Mark Zuckerberg, they're afraid for their brands and for their companies, and so they're just caving.
I personally think it's just people that are nervous about being put on some list, because it seems like it's happening in droves, right? And it seems like with all of this rhetoric that Trump's put out there about taking out his enemies and draining the swamp and blah 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 yippity yippity, I think people are just starting to get nervous. Like, jump on the train before you get ran over by it.
And what they don't realize is it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, because it's not like he's a logical individual. And he's
of course not.
Right. And so he's a vindictive, emotional child. And so
which means he will hold a grudge no matter what you do to try to fix it. I get it.
Hey, hold on. I think maybe GD might be sending those drones over Bedminster. It might be GD ready to take him out, right? It sounds like.
I don't know. He can't get the microphone to work at the club when he's streaming. I don't think he can do drones.
Wow. That's kind of harsh criticism.
And that also hurts because it's true.
I can't either, though, if it makes you feel better. So
that's why I have not done. That's the reason why I have not done another mic anymore, because I haven't resolved it. I think I know what I need to do. I do believe it's a bandwidth issue, which means taking a Wi-Fi hotspot with me, because my phone can't do the job.
Yeah. So our first guest is already late. It's a couple, Dan and Sharon Riddle.
Maybe they're having sex.
The riddle is, what do you get when you cross a guest with a podcast that doesn't show? I don't know. That's the riddle. Anyway,
7?
I was looking. Yeah, it could be. I was looking forward to figuring out if they would lend me money to get into this multifamily real estate thing in Denton, Texas, because I have no money to invest, but I would like to be rich. I would like to just lay around and collect. They make it seem easy, though.
I want to know if Denton, Texas is still a dry county.
I want to know why you knew it was a dry county to begin with.
I don't think it was. New Mexico had the dry state. Really?
Denton, Texas was a dry county. Now, I think
Ben Shapiro's wife lived there.
I think when I say dry county, I think they could sell beer, but not hard liquor, like no vodka. I think they could sell beer and wine, but not hard liquor.
I think people understand the distinction between hard liquor and
the soft liquor.
Soft liquor.
Well, soft liquor,
mushy liquor.
Well, a hard liquor will leave you with a rash when they're done. A soft liquor will leave you with the desire to want more.
See, I always took it as hard liquor's excited to see me, and soft liquor could care less. That's just me.
Lickety split. Well, I don't
Works
look
too.
at his split. I look at it crack, but I won't look at his split. What? I don't know.
Hey, I got some comedy news. I'm not sure if you heard, but I seen yesterday there was a fight that broke out at a Dr. Phil show because Tony Hinchcliffe apparently said a joke, and there was a fight in the audience.
No
Over
way.
what? Syntax? What were they fighting over? Syntax?
Was this
No, it was
Dr. Phil Springer? Is this the Dr. Phil Springer show?
Probably.
Yes, I am.
No, that's you know what, that I guess that kind of tracks, but I'm kind of shocked by that just because I feel like that whole crowd is kind of one and the same. But I guess was it in LA?
No, San Diego. After Tony Hinchcliffe joked about Mexican food.
Well, that's
my
a good,
God.
You know what? It's a good idea to go to like a border town and make Mexican jokes. It's always a good idea. It's like going into the Bronx and making Puerto Rican jokes. It's a good idea.
We have a bad echo, guys.
Yeah, it's terrible.
I don't have an
myself
echo, do
out, and I didn't hear it. I
Check,
heard
1 2.
I muted myself out.
Hello?
Check 1 2. Do you hear an echo?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, hold on. I know what.
Oh, it's Steven.
StreamYard turned off all of my echo cancellation and reduced background noise that's normally on. Why, I don't know. Is that better?
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's all your fault. So you don't blame it on StreamYard. Take the responsibility yourself and fall on the sword.
Well, here is the footage from it.
Yes.
That's a fight.
That ain't a fight. That's a pushing match.
That's an NBA fight. They look like two marmots. That's how marmots fight.
Hold on, they'll pan back to Steve.
But
everybody relax. Let's this here with Dr.
for you people on the radio, I'm going to give you the play-by-play. It's a cameraman going back and forth between the audience and Dr. Phil and Hinchcliffe on the stage. Some people seem to be applauding the fight.
Saying that we're all racist.
People seem to be booing Hinchcliffe.
No, I think they're booing the chick.
Now, this isn't a real Dr. Phil show. This is the comedy thing where the guy is dressed up as Dr. Phil, because he didn't sound like Dr. Phil to me.
Well, that was Tony talking, but
Adam Ray?
that's Adam Ray.
Oh, okay, Adam. All right, that's like I didn't think that's really Dr. Phil, but
Wow.
Okay.
No, but he's Dr. Phil approved.
I can't believe you could spot that in that little clip from that far away. You must have like the biggest monitor. You must have a big black monitor.
I do actually have a big black monitor.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean it's not a true fisticuffs fight, but it's
still
a good indicator on what 2025 is going to be like.
I'm proud of you, Ron. You were able to say fist without making it an anally sexual thing.
I think you guys spoke too soon, but
oh, I'm sorry.
Get it? But
no, I was able at least once to.
That's true. I just think that's that I don't know that, and also it was, I think it looked like a white lady that was upset, which was kind of funny.
Yeah.
If it was a white lady upset about Mexican food jokes, that just makes me want to giggle all over.
See, now your microphone is muffled again. You're all muffled. Can you just
muffled still?
No.
Okay. I don't know what's happening.
If you could just learn proper mic technique, maybe go to like a comedy class and learn how to operate a microphone, like it's a bottle of ketchup. Right.
Spank that thing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So I guess it's late. I guess they don't want to sell us some on real estate, which is unfortunate. Well,
they know our audience is broke. Like, why waste the time?
right. Well, I almost wanted to say that, like, unless you're pitching a no money down thing, forget about my audience. But they could go to Fundwise Capital and get a loan, maybe. If
It's
you
not
got
even no money down. I'd also need no money needed later. No money for mortgage. No money for payments.
Here's the thing about real estate that I think is misleading. First of all, the no money
it's
down
not
stuff.
real.
It's fake estate.
Yeah.
But it's not like you don't have a job then, because now you have tenants who are going to call you up and say, well, the heat's broke, or, whatever. They're going to call you and say things need repair. You got to deal with them. You got to chase them down for the rent. It's not like you don't have a job. It's not like you just sit home and wait for the fucking checks. It's more aggravation than you can fucking imagine.
And if they don't come up with the money, you still have to come up with your money to cover your end. It's not like, the only way that works in some regards is if you own the property outright, and then you have little time before you have to pay your taxes on it.
Right.
But you need to. Yeah.
The other part of it is now you are competing with hedge funds that are buying up all these multifamily houses. So your competition is rare. You're talking about, I don't know, dealing with billionaires as your competition. They're going to outspend you. They're going to get the good properties, and you're going to be left with slum properties, and you're going to be a slumlord, and then you got the worst tenants. And the other part is you're going to rent to women, single women, and then all of a sudden her boyfriend's going to want to move in, and all his friends and whatever, and you're fucked with a nightmare situation. That's what I was going to say to them if they would have showed up. So,
but it's
I
everything.
think they knew that.
It's just not real estate, though. It's dentists have been bought up by corporations.
Yes,
doctors,
veterinarians.
Yeah, everybody. They're all being like corporatized. Even it's horrible right now.
Veterinarians?
Yes.
Yeah,
I just learned that. I took my cat to the vet yesterday, and I learned that yesterday.
Like
that there are like a dozen veterinary hospitals or vets in the within like a 1.5 mile radius of the vet that we use for our cat, and all but 3 of them are corporate owned now.
Wow.
Ours is still private, and there are 2 others that are private. Everyone else is corporate owned.
What's the incentive there? I'm probably just money, but I don't understand.
Well, I think there's 2 things. Well, money is it's always money. It's always money. But one thing is that people love their pets. Okay, if you want to blackmail somebody, somebody can have like a 45-year-old dog who's got stage 9 cancer. Okay, and you bring him into the vet, and the vet goes, your dog is 45. He has stage 9 cancer. But for $30,000, we can give him another month of life. And you'll go like, $30,000 for another month? I don't know if that's worth it. And they'll look at you and go, you dog murderer. And you go like, okay, I'll do it. That's what it is. It's blackmail. Those people are they know how to blackmail you to get every single fucking dollar out of you to save your pet if you don't have a cold heart like me and Matt.
Yeah. Well,
no,
here's the thing.
You're right. When when our dog was had to have surgery and stuff, they basically told it to you this way. It's like, well, you can get this surgery, which will be a little more painful for your dog, but it's $200 cheaper. But if you want to spend $200 more, we'll cut her open with the laser instead of the Swiss Army knife.
Right. They told my parents the same thing with me, but they went for the Black and Decker drill.
Yeah, so that's it. People, you can, and also then there's pet insurance because their pricing, because they have now corporate people to feed, is going to go up through the roof, which means it's going to be harder to afford pet care. So now they can sell you insurance for pet care to bring back down the pet care price or cost. It's ugly. It is so fucking ugly.
It is. And you know what's crazy is my sister-in-law was just talking to us about how she got dog insurance.
Yes.
And it blew my mind because I'm like, wait. And here's the thing. My sister-in-law is a very well-off person, right? She can afford to take her dogs to the vet. So I was like, why? And then she kind of explained it to me, and I was like, yeah, but you realize that now those of us that don't have animal insurance those prices are going to go through the roof. And she goes, I didn't really think about that. And I was like, yeah. Look, you work in healthcare. You should know this.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Well, first of all, if you have a 45-year-old dog and you haven't figured out how to monetize that somehow, like, I got a 45-year-old dog. Yeah, you're not too bright, and you don't deserve to have a living pet. You deserve a dead pet. At that.
I normally
have been exaggerating a little.
I usually go to the vet with the dog and be like, the dog's shoulder really hurts, especially when you need some of that pain medicine you got.
Well, we have a cat, a 3-legged cat now, but it used to be a 4-legged cat, and my wife found a lump on its leg that it's no longer there, and she brought it to the vet, and the vet said it was like $2,400 to amputate. It was cancer, and $2,400 cash to amputate a leg, and my wife somehow found $2,400 cash to get that done. But for me, just to go to a dentist and get an oral surgeon to get a tooth pulled cost $180. She couldn't find that cash. So
could she at least find a string and a doorknob?
I think $2,400. She'd say, let him die. Let him die if it was me. But the cat, we got to save the cat at all costs.
Yeah, while you're dying on the couch, your cat's got an IV hooked up to it. And
yep, exactly.
Yeah,
nurse care.
I don't even know if I'd let my wife pay that to keep me alive. Are you kidding me?
So I learned something here. Hedge funds are investing in vets.
Yes.
Any other business? Real estate makes sense. I get that because everybody, they're going to make a renter nation. That there's going to be no more homeowners. The only people that are going to own homeowners are going to be homeowners are the $400 billion tech people.
Every industry is being bought up by some conglomerate in some sort, like from manufacturing. Like when I was working for Frito, there's this one company that there's these companies are like bearing and motor houses. They sell motors and bearings primarily, and other things. And it used to be several companies, and now it's pretty much down to one big corporation that owns all of those. They've merged like 3 companies together, and now they're just one giant corporation.
No, but they won't allow, or they pulled back on this merger of these 2 supermarkets, and I'm thinking they were saying it would be bad for competition and bad for prices.
Right.
I don't know. Because here, and it's probably different in other places than here, but here there's like one. There's really only one. Maybe there's two or 3, but in my neighborhood, there's only one kind of grocery chain. That's Stop and Shop. Where, by the way, there's a video of me doing the grand opening of Stop. I used to be the grand opening guy for Stop and Shop.
Before they got to know you.
Yeah, no, they got to know me, and they loved me. They loved me because I was cheap, and I would work in the beer and pharmaceuticals aisle. And they thought, well, that's a good place for them. That's a good place to stick the band on a Sunday morning. But so I don't know that having mergers affects the prices. I think the prices are going to be high because of the supply and demand and all that kind of stuff, and price gouging. So it doesn't matter if it's one company or 2 companies. The prices are still going to be high. As our fearless soon-to-be leader has said, it's really hard to bring down the price of groceries. It's really kind of hard to do.
Like that big dummy RFK. He talks about like health and wanting people healthier. And one thing that you hear about a lot in this country is food deserts, or like grocery store deserts in these communities. And the only grocery store they have technically is like a Dollar General. And that's not. It's basically just a glorified convenience store. And like when you start merging all these companies together, then they can control the price. And I mean, you see it in movies. It's garbage.
You guys have Aldi? LD.
Yeah,
we have
we have
those.
We have Aldi, and then have you guys seen the Dollar General grocery stores that have popped up? They call them DG markets. I saw them in Missouri. Really weird.
So
where they
that's
sell like day old meat that they've
I
added
don't
carbon
know.
monoxide to, so
we
to give
didn't
it a
stop by
respiratory.
Walk in and see our rotting fruit because our employees just don't give a fuck, or we're so understaffed.
I didn't even go into it. We just drove past it, but it said DG Market, and it said fresh produce, full grocer. And I'm like, that's really weird.
I think I'm going to have to capitalize on this, and I'm going to open up a GD market, and just so I can try to capitalize on the people who are dyslexic.
Right.
Dyslexic, hungry people who are looking for food. They'll come to my stores.
Then on top of that, like all these places are still like so understaffed as well, and their employees can't keep up, and it's terrible.
That brings up a whole with all this. Minimum wage is going to destroy all these jobs. These people aren't making much more than if we raise minimum wage, you're still going to have the same kind of
minimum wage in Pennsylvania is still like $7.20 an hour.
Wow.
Yeah,
and that is not what's destroying jobs, because the money they're spending on technology to replace people is way more in the short run anyway than it costs for these people. What they don't want to pay for is insurance and health insurance and stuff like that, and maybe retirement packages. But it's technology that's killing their jobs. It's not minimum wage. It's not racism. It's technology and super rich people.
Wow. In New York State, as of January 1st, that's coming up here, New York City, Long Island, and Westchester, the minimum wage is $16.50 an hour. The rest of New York is $15.50 an hour. Wow. So with double Pennsylvania, if you're a minimum wage worker, but then again, your rent is probably much higher in New York City and Long Island, so. For that $16.50 an hour.
If you live in Pennsylvania close enough to New York, you can just drive across the border, exploit the high wage, and then go back to Pennsylvania, live in your cheap ass house.
Right. And then next year it goes up a whole 50 cents more, $17 in Long Island, New York, Westchester, and then $16 an hour in the rest of the state. The rest of the state's got to be like, come on, man, we can't. Like, well, we got to get 50 cents less. Why?
Well, I know Amazon. Yeah, is selling houses now. You can buy a house for it's ridiculously low.
They deliver?
Yeah. And
drones are delivering.
You can get by next Thursday.
And you assemble it. They're like 10 grand and they're like a plastic house and it'll last like 30 years.
Yeah.
Now, they're also, I think this is in New York. I could be wrong, but they have these portable beds. No, I don't think it's New York. I think it's in Europe now when I think about it. I'll look it up again. But it's these portable beds that are designed for homeless people to sleep in for a night or two.
Pods.
Yeah, and they have like Wi-Fi, or not necessarily Wi-Fi, but they have
no, they have Wi-Fi.
Connection. I know they have internet connection so that that houses can be monitored, so they know how long the people when they're occupied, they can get people can check on them to see if they're healthy, if they have but it's big enough for like a person and a dog or two people maybe.
They have them in New York City, and I walked past one, and guess what? It was full of shit.
Because people in New York have no places to shit, so they go there to shit.
Right. Well, they used to shit in train stations and stuff, but they put a stop to that. I don't know how hold that shit. Go over to the pod. But yeah, you put a box up and people are going to shit in it in New York. That's basically what's that box for?
That's the one thing. That's one of the problems I have with like visiting New York. Is like I need to know that I can have a place to shit if I need to, and so I plan my lunches around when I'm going to shit so that I can go into a restaurant and say I'm a customer and shit and order food and shit, and then go to the next, when it's time, hopefully I'll have to shit when I'm hungry again and go into another restaurant, buy dinner and shit there. Other than that, I have to go back to my hotel room.
Stanhope. I remember a couple of years ago, Stanhope was in New York, and he was posting on Twitter. Anybody know a good place to shit, a safe, good, clean place to shit near Madison Square Garden? I was like, yeah, Penn Station, man. You can the train places are the best. The train bathrooms are the best place to shit because most of the people are shitting down on the platform by the train. That's what it is. So go to the bathroom, just crystal clean. I don't know why people.
Couldn't he just shit at Madison Square Garden?
Well, he was near it. He wasn't in it. He didn't have like a ticket for it. So yeah, yes, you can. You can. Penn Station is the same thing. Penn Station is right below Madison Square Garden, which is what I told him to do.
There you go.
But yeah, so but you put up a box on the street where it's nice and warm. People are going to go in there and shit, and that's exactly what happens there.
I know what I'm gonna. This is gonna be my business. I'm gonna get my car, put a trailer on the back, and put 2 porta potties on the back of it, and I'll charge people $1, maybe $2 to shit in it, and I'll empty it at the end of the day, and I'll rent it again the next day. Just drive around, and people can. I'll park.
They'll be like, what is this? And then they go shit on the train platform. Like, what is that fucking thing? That box? It looks like a phone booth. That's not a place to shit. We're from New York. We shit in boxes. We shit in pods. We shit everywhere except the porta potty.
You know what's crazy is I was just thinking about it is they're gonna end up putting up these poop traps to trap all these homeless people. Like those suicide pods like from Amsterdam. They're gonna bring those here, and they're gonna be like, "Here, come shit here," and they're gonna trap them. That's terrible, man.
You know what? That is the way to solve the homeless problem, isn't it? Make them all like.
But then you wind up with the same problem.
They're like mouse traps for people.
But then you wind up with the problem that they had in Louisiana or New Orleans, where they weren't burying their dead; they were just throwing them in the woods because they were saving money that way. So yeah.
Oh yeah, speaking of corporate, that's another thing. Funeral homes are corporations.
Yes. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because that's it's funeral homes and like elderly care. All the used to be family owned businesses, and a lot of them have been bought up by conglomerates as well.
Oh yeah, all the nursing homes that I perform in, all the rehabilitation places, all the assisted living places, all corporate, all of them. Yeah.
That's why they got a hard on for Trump, because like all these private prisons can thrive.
Right.
And how do they make private prisons thrive? By cutting back on education, because they know by 3rd grade, if you're not achieving by 3rd grade, you're heading toward the prison system.
Well, that's kind of weird, isn't it?
That they know that, or that's a fact?
No, that the idea that corporations are buying prisons, and it's got to be it's been a profit type of thing. Prisons have been for profit for a long time, but they are claiming they want to reduce crime. Now, in reality, we need more criminals to boost the profit for the corporations.
Right.
So we have to be pro-crime.
Right. They don't want to reduce crime. They want to increase prosecution.
Right.
That's it. And so so they want to.
But we need more criminals. That's why. So it all comes together. We want to stop abortion so kids will be born into poverty, so they become criminals, so that we can put them into prisons, so that we can make money off of keeping them alive.
And the way they get out of prison is by joining the military. They'll get rid of their sentence if they join the military.
Wow.
And then you have some really crazy radical people who will kill for money.
All right.
Of course, that last part I just pulled out of my ass, and you could probably tell from the scent of roses and lavender.
It does smell like a little rosy. Rosie, you're all right. I spoke with Jackie last night.
Okay. How's he doing? Because he didn't return my text.
He doesn't return your text?
No, he usually does. He didn't return my last one, and I had a specific question for him, a favor to ask of him, and he did not respond, and it hurt my feelings.
Did you want me to tell him that right now? I could tell him that right now.
No, I'll just stay hurt.
GD's hurt. You just gotta get back to him. Maybe he didn't realize it was you. Maybe he didn't. Maybe it didn't come up with your name or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, because the last few times we text back and forth, I'm sure he didn't put my name in the number. It just says black guy on coffee with dog, and now he doesn't know if I'm Aaron. Now he doesn't know if it's me or Aaron.
Well, then he probably gets confused because he's like black coffee with a dog. What does that even mean?
Oh yeah.
I don't drink my coffee black.
So he wanted to show me his house that he's decorated for the holidays. And
does he have mistletoe made out of weed?
No, it astonishingly, maybe I could bring up the picture. Maybe I shouldn't bring up the picture and out them, and then people will know where to throw eggs. But
They don't already know.
It never dawned on me until yesterday that his house, especially with all the decorations on it, looks remarkably like the Amityville Horror House.
Does it really?
Yeah.
Is there a guy named Willie out front taking pictures for his wife?
It's not that close to Amityville, so nobody would make that mistake. But I said to him, Butch, I knew Butch. I didn't know him well, but we had friends in common. And he's like, I don't know who that is. Like, Butch DeFeo, Ron DeFeo Jr., the guy who murdered his whole family. He goes, oh, I knew it. Like, I knew you knew him. Like, what does that mean? What do you mean? What made you think, just assume that I know, or I knew Ron DeFeo Jr., who often, what would lead somebody to say, I knew it? You don't have
I don't know. I was distracted because Elton's more.
Distracted.
I don't know. Seems like you know damn near everybody, so maybe you just assumed.
I don't know damn near everybody. I don't know damn near anybody. So our first guest is not showing up, so we're going to go with our second guest, who's already here, but I want to play news before we bring her in. Is there anything interesting in the news lately, or no? It's just the same old.
Drones.
I don't think the drones are in the news. You have to be on Twitter, and nobody on Facebook is talking about the dopey drones either. Have you noticed? It's just on Twitter. You would notice these things. You're not noticing these things, Stephen?
Oh, I've noticed.
Okay.
Well, actually, my one drone video on Facebook has 40,000 views.
Let's defer to Alan Edwards and see if there's any drone news.
Consumer prices increased by 2.7% in November compared to the same period last year, marking an uptick from the previous month.
This development could influence the Federal Reserve as it considers an anticipated interest rate cut next week. The figure aligned with economists' projections. The latest report reflected 2 straight months of rising inflation, reversing some earlier progress in easing inflationary pressures made earlier this year. Kyle Norris reporting.
Donald Trump hailed Chris Wray's resignation as FBI director, calling it a great day for America.
President-elect Trump has selected Kash Patel to take over Wray's position at the FBI, pending Senate approval. Trump, in a statement issued shortly after the announcement, criticized Wray and commended Patel, who spent Wednesday on Capitol Hill gathering support from Republican senators. Lawrence Keller reporting.
The commander of Syria's rebel forces that toppled President Bashar Assad's regime, Ahmad Sharia, stated on Wednesday that individuals responsible for torturing and killing thousands of detainees will not receive pardons.
Many, including missing American journalist Austin Tice, remain unaccounted for. Sharia, widely known as Abu Muhammad al-Jolani, who leads the Islamist group Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, or HTS, declared, "We will not pardon those involved in torturing the detainees and liquidating them." Benjamin Wright reporting.
This is the latest news headlines.
Well, close enough. Well, Al, are you there?
Albertsons has filed a lawsuit against rival Kroger following the collapse of a multi-billion-dollar merger deal that would have created the largest supermarket merger in U.S. history.
Federal judges in Oregon and Washington blocked the merger on Tuesday, siding with the Federal Trade Commission, which argued the deal would reduce competition and increase prices for U.S. consumers. Albertsons announced on Wednesday that it had terminated the merger agreement following the legal setback. Jessica Oakley reporting.
Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell fell during a Senate Republican lunch on Tuesday.
Initial details about McConnell's condition, age 82, were unclear, but 2 medical responders briefly entered his office before leaving. Shortly after, his office released a statement indicating he had sustained a minor cut to his face and a sprained wrist as a result of the fall. Leader McConnell tripped following lunch. He sustained a minor cut to the face and sprained his wrist, the statement read. Liam White reporting.
A U.S. bankruptcy judge has blocked the sale of conspiracy theorist Alex Jones's InfoWars media platform to the satirical outlet The Onion.
The Onion had secured the right to purchase InfoWars in a bankruptcy auction on November 14th. Ben Collins, CEO of The Onion's parent company, Global Tetrahedron, expressed disappointment in a Blue Sky statement following the late Tuesday ruling, vowing to continue to seek a resolution that helps the Sandy Hook families receive a positive outcome for the horror they endured. Kevin Sanders reporting.
What's the problem with The Onion?
Headlines with Alan Edwards.
Fine. I mean, would they block it if somebody else?
I don't know. So
bit?
from what I've heard from Alex Jones talking about it, is okay. From what he says is there was a mass conglomerate that came together through The Onion to buy InfoWars, to defame and all of that, and then so. Because of that, Alex Jones also tried doing the same thing, but was told he couldn't do that. So then he got a lawyer to kind of say, okay, well, we're going to block this sale and we're going to investigate it thoroughly.
You're bankrupt. You're selling off your stuff. You don't care who gets it, do you? I mean, obviously he does. I think he...
Well, I think what really happened was he got caught trying to get a bunch of people to buy it back for him. And I think that's what's stopping it. It has nothing to do with The Onion buying it. I think there's just some issues now because of what he was trying to do.
It's so weird how all these billionaires can't come up with a couple of $1 million. Like you're not him, but like his pals. Like Elon Musk is supposedly worth over $400 billion. He's on his way to becoming the first trillionaire.
But that's not liquid assets. They're counting chickens that haven't hatched yet and giving them credit for them.
I get it.
I understand that.
But that's an awful lot of chickens you're counting to say I can't come up with a few hens here and there to
It probably converted a few of those chickens to ostriches, probably just to show you.
I guess Alex Jones had enough people together to put in a really decent bid, and when the lawyers found out he was trying to do that,
that's crooked anyway. Yeah, you shouldn't be able to buy your own property back when you're forced to sell something like whatever.
And not only that, but that conglomerate supposedly had a higher bid than The Onion. And
by the
that's
way,
what
I
really
love you.
pissed them off. So that bid was rejected.
By the way, I love you.
Onions make me cry.
I just want to say that one more time. By the way, I love you.
Well,
see, it's creepy.
If we're going to go there, I just called to say I love you.
So let me guess. That's your Karen Carpenter imitation.
Damn, you nailed it. You nailed it. I've been working on that Karen Carpenter. And also, I was working on Helen Keller, the musical.
All right. Susan Beth Miller, which is a serial killer name if I've ever heard one, right? People with 3 names.
It does. Like, John Wilkes Booth. Oh, that's not a serial killer.
Lee Harvey Oswald, Stephen Sitcom Ortiz. Or, know, they're all like serial killer names.
I put that in confidence, you son of a... Never mind.
I'm sorry. Susan Beth Miller is not a serial killer. You shouldn't talk about our guests like that.
Yeah, she's a serial therapist.
You know what? My bad. I'm being way out there. That's my fault.
She lives in Ann Arbor, Michigan, which is clearly a serial killer name for a town, right? Ann Arbor, Michigan. 3 names again, where she works as a clinical psychologist. She is the author of 3 novels, including Indigo Rose and A Beautiful Land, and 5 psychology books, which is really what we need to know about here, including When Parents Have Problems, Shame in Context, and Emotions of Menace and Enchantment. But she doesn't mention at all. I believe her latest book is, by the way, I love you. She's here now. Good morning, Susan Beth Miller.
Good morning.
How come in that bio I just read it doesn't say anything about By the Way, I Love You? That's your current book, right?
Oh, that is the current book. That might be an oversight.
Yeah.
Probably was the headline, not the bio.
Right.
But
Yes. It's in
anyway,
the
I am, serial killer.
There it is right there.
I'm Ann Arbor, relaxing on the couch.
All right. By the way,
because that is one of the last things you expect to hear from a serial killer just before they do you in. By the way, I love you.
Yeah, right. That could be a good line for,
right.
if you're planning to become a serial killer.
Right. It's interesting kind of mix of occupations, being a clinical psychologist and an author. Are you patients? Are you call them patients or clients?
One or the other, I try and just call them people. But
are they paranoid about telling you? Because I don't want my craziness showing up in one of your books.
I think most people aren't really aware of the dual interests. Occasionally people are. I've had people more recently wishing to show up as a character. So hoping that they could.
One of the issues with being in the creative arts is you're striving not to remain anonymous. You want people to know about what you do so that they can patronize the work. So yeah, eventually they will find out if they don't know already, right? The goal is for them to find out.
Well, I mean, you're absolutely right. That is a tension for me, a conflict, because yes, with one line of work, you do want people to find out. If you're writing a book, you hope people will know about it, maybe even read it, but not necessarily your patients, clients.
How about the pen name route, so that people, you can put somebody else's picture on the book and a fake name that
you
never.
Like Bic or Papermate? Those are very good pen names.
I gave that a little thought, but it doesn't seem there are problems with that too. And
Mont Blanc.
I started out, my name. Most people call me Sue Miller, so that there's a kind of a famous writer by that name.
Thought
maybe there could be some coattails, but I'm not sure about that.
You are, I think, the first, and I lost track of the authors that we've talked to, but I think you're the first one who actually does, like, I don't know if they're textbooks, but nonfiction books, let's put it that way, and fiction books at the same time. I don't think anybody else I've talked to, you're either a fiction writer or a nonfiction writer.
Yeah.
Now, do you find yourself getting bored with like nonfiction stuff? I love nonfiction. This is what I read mostly. I'm not like a novel reader or a romance fantasy reader or any of that kind of stuff. I love nonfiction. I love historical stuff. But do you find, because once you start letting your imagination guide your creativity, that it must be really hard to get back into just black and white facts and that kind of stuff. Yes or no?
Well, not necessarily. I think writing nonfiction isn't so black and white and factual, at least in the field of psychology. So there is a lot of creativity and imagination. So no, I haven't found it boring. I'd like to go back and forth between the two. I think at this point in my career, I'm not sure I have another psychology book in me. I kind of shifted pretty much to fiction, which was actually my first love. I was interested in fiction before I even knew, what psychology was. And I think shifted into the psychology writing because I went to graduate school and I was immersed in that and actually needed to do a lot of writing as part of that, educational road. So that led to the psychology books, but I think I've circled back more to the fiction, partly because I do love fiction. I think partly also because it's the highest mountain to climb for me, like a really good novel.
I think Everest is the highest mountain to climb.
Yeah, okay. Well, I don't aspire to Everest. I've given up on that goal, but a good novel, that's hard work for me. It's been in some ways more, I don't want to put down there's some wonderful nonfiction out there, so I'm not trying to put that down.
I'm tempted. I'm tempted to ask you to lay down on the couch and ask you how it makes you feel that you had to go from your first love into your secondary love. But that's.
It's all my father's fault, not my mother's. My father's.
Interestingly enough, we started the week with a mountain climber who has climbed all 7 of the highest peaks in the world.
That's amazing, yeah.
And she gave up her husband in order to. She had a choice: keep the husband or keep the mountain climbing. And she said the husband's got to go, which is kind of like when my wife said, "If you buy one more guitar, I'm out of here." And I missed her for quite a few years.
Now, Susan, I have a question.
Yeah.
Have you considered seeing how you're a psychologist? You said, correct?
I am.
Okay, and you're in Ann Arbor.
Yes.
So, have you considered maybe writing anything about the Ypsilanti Ripper? If I'm saying that right.
Oh, you're going back to the serial killer psychologist theme here.
I was just curious.
No, I haven't. I think, let's see. I've been in this town for a long time. I think we've had multiple serial killers during that period. There was There was one, I think, when I first came here around 1970. That I don't know if that's the person you're talking about.
Interestingly, though, the serial killing started when you got there. Is that what I'm hearing?
Well,
pretty much. Yeah, my first year. You trying to make something of that? No.
Okay.
Well, Ed, I just think it's also coincidental that that serial killer also has a three name situation.
They all do. That's not interesting at all. I think that's you can't. It's a qualifying fact.
It's interesting that Susan also has the same kind of name.
I have a good excuse though, because
fair enough.
I'm one of those people with a really common name. So if you get a medical procedure, they might operate on the wrong arm or something if you don't use your middle name. So
yeah.
I'm tossing it in there just for security's sake.
Right. All right. We'll let you off the hook for now.
As an Ohio State fan, I'll just hope that they, that maybe one of them makes them way over to, Michigan University.
GD, could you mellow him out, please? Yesterday, I just want to bring this up. Yesterday, because I've been very hard on Stephen, and when I say hard on, he likes me to say that.
He likes it.
But I have been a little tough on Stephen in the way he kind of gets bored with some of the guests and falls asleep or whatever during the conversation.
Oh, no.
But yesterday we got an email from somebody who wants to be a guest on the show, who watched yesterday's program, who said Stephen was a little out there until GD calmed him down. Now, I didn't notice any of the out there stuff. I don't know what the guy was talking about.
That either.
Look, but you froze up now. How about that?
That's out there.
So if he does get out there, GD, just keep an eye on him and mellow him out. Okay, that's what I want.
Reel him back in.
Now the book. By the way, I love you.
Yes.
Tell us about this book.
Here, we'll give you a visual.
We got a visual right there.
Oh, okay. Well, this is the first young adult novel that I've written. I actually didn't quite know it was a young adult novel until I finished it and I gave it to the editor who I work with, who I have a lot of confidence in. And she asked me, when I read the book, what should I be thinking about? What questions do you have for me? So I did ask her, okay, is this a young adult novel or an older adult novel? And she said, it's a young adult novel. So that was established there. But so it's a coming of age book. It's actually about a young person starting college, although I think the themes in it are applicable whether somebody's going to college or they're going to the military, or maybe they're just moving from their family's home for the first time when they're however old, 17, 18, 19, sometimes these days 28 or 30, but whenever the person makes that move out of the family home, there's just so many issues that arise. And so it's really about this young woman's leaving home and trying to figure out some kind of core things about who she is as an individual and in the world, and whether she can do the adulting thing, which means making friends and sexual exploration and having some value. Yes, that is in the book. Yeah. But
I like that sexual
yeah,
exploration
yeah.
stuff. That's like where you're going out in the woods and looking for somebody to have. Oh no, that's different. I'm sorry.
You're thinking of sniping. You're thinking of sniping.
Oh, okay.
Or truffle hunting. Truffle hunting.
And Ace
Yeah.
Hardware
There are a
parking
lot of
lot.
woods in the book. I'll say that much. A lot of
Now-
woods in the book. And there's even an environmental theme that's kind of central in the book.
Wow. Now, University of Michigan. University of Michigan has come up here a little bit because Jackie Martling, Jackie the Joke Man Martling, who is a frequent guest, I suggested that he went to the University of Michigan. He said, no, you got to. That's a whole other SAT score. I went to Michigan State. Is Michigan Michigan University of Michigan like Princeton level? Is it Ivy League? And I just not aware of it.
Well, I don't know. I think they have a little different standards for in-state and out-of-state students. At least historically, had to reach a pretty high level, maybe competing with the Ivy League. I don't know who's listening to your show. I'm sure you get some pushback on that.
What?
Well, I know they struggle with football pretty bad.
With football, yes. Well, okay.
Why did you choose that school? Is that your alma mater or?
It is my alma mater. Yeah, they chose me. I mean, I picked a number of schools. And then I came here as an undergraduate, but then I stayed for graduate school. So they did have a good clinical psychology graduate school program in those days.
Okay. Now the protagonist's name is Leslie. Are there a lot of you and Leslie? I mean, is she kind of based on you in some way? No.
Well, she wasn't. I mean, she actually started. This is some of that, cross fertilization between the two lines of work, but started with somebody I had worked with years ago, who actually was male. So I go to great lengths if I'm working from a character who exists in the real world to have them not recognizable in any way, even to themselves. So,
yeah.
So if you just take those qualities and make them the opposite, then you'll find out who you are, who that person is.
Right. You're going.
Yeah. So
that's the key to decoding the work. As far as.
But to also speak to your question, you can't write anything that comes from somebody else's mind or heart or experience. So basically everything you write relates to you in some ways. It's not necessarily obvious ways. It's not that you went to that party or, you had sex with that person. It's not that literal, but it is related in some ways to spaces you're able to occupy in your mind.
So basically, you're saying there's no real confessions, and if we read through this book, we're not going to find out where you buried the bodies.
Absolutely none.
Okay.
Yeah. And if there were, I wouldn't be confessing to them. So.
All right. Talked about and I can relate to, I'm part of a time travel group on Facebook, and somebody said they wanted to go back 2 months before they quit their job, and I was like, I want to go back to December of 1979. I think I could fix all the things that were wrong, that I broke in between now and then. Now, December of I was a junior in college in December of 1979, and I was desperately trying to figure out who I was then and purpose and what's my life meaning. But all these years later, I can't even count do the math. 45 years. I still have not figured out life purpose. I still have not figured out who the hell I am. So I don't think this is part of what you do, is help people figure out their purpose in life, figure out their path, and who, do some introspection and look at your own life. Is it uncommon to go through your entire life like I have, not knowing who the hell you are, and what you're supposed to be doing, why you were born in the first place?
No, I don't think it's uncommon. I think it's, it's on. You're being honest, right? Nobody knows entirely any of the answers to these questions. How do we know why we're here?
Right. But with the young person who's a freshman in college, they're expecting that they're expecting some answers along the way, right? Or some insights and wisdom. And then if it never comes, you're kind of really disappointed. Like, what the hell? What's this all about? I got on a roller coaster expecting some kind of payoff, some kind of reward at the end, and it just turns out I just got the shit scared out of me for nothing.
Yeah, well, I mean, the character in this book, and this may speak to a lot of people or not, but I don't think she's really expecting big answers or posing big questions initially. I think what happens is she's just trying to live her new life, and she's stumbling in lots of ways, right? And so it's because of the stumbling and the difficulty that the questions arise. And so in this case, she's bringing certain baggage with her on her journey, probably true of most people, but different people have different things packed in their bags, right? So this particular character, she had lost her mother to cancer a couple of years before she left home. And when she gets to school, she's met with a roommate whose mother is practically moving in with them, and friends with their sort of mothers shepherding them or hovering or intruding or, some ways very present. And so it's bringing up for her a lot of this relationship that she lost, and then a lot of uncertainty about, well, what really was the nature of her relationship, with her mother. Lots of questions about the period when her mother was dying. So it's not like she went out searching for the meaning of life. It's more like questions about life just smacked her in the face, which is often what happens, and then she has to try and respond.
How long has the book been out?
Not long. Less than 2 months. So
Okay. Are you getting I'm interested. Are you getting a big response from the demographic that you thought would be this book is for? Somebody told you it was a young adult book. Are you getting a lot of response from young adults reading it, or is it middle-aged women? Because middle-aged women are the people who are reading, are buying books, right?
Truthfully, I don't know. I hope some younger people will, I hope it'll find its way into the hands of some younger people, sometimes by way of middle-aged adults.
Right.
But I don't know yet, maybe some reviews.
Well, the way I have the secret on getting young people to read it, tell them not to read it.
Yeah, okay. Well,
whatever you do, don't read this book. I'm going to work. I'm just leaving it here, but don't read it.
I was hoping it could be part of a banned book club or something.
Yeah,
that's how you get read.
Books do really well.
So if you're a young person, whatever you do, don't buy this book. Whatever you do, and if you do buy it or just happen to stumble across it, don't open it. It's bad. It's bad. It's terrible things go on in there.
Matt, Susan just gave me this idea. We should have the Coffee with the Dog banned book club. And encourage people not to read these books. These books are banned. They're bad for you. And everybody that appears on this show, we put them on the banned book list.
Bandwagon.
Easy for you to say.
Banned book bandwagon.
Yeah, the bandwagon. That's the banned book wagon. And we just put them all there. Tell people, don't read this book.
I think that's genius, and I'm sorry to even say that word in association with something that came out of your mouth, but I think that's a very good idea.
All I'm doing is stealing what Susan just said, or building upon what she just said.
And as you said, Matt, especially for teenagers, that could be
Now, I'm curious about this because if I wrote, and I'm on the research level, if I wrote a book about a freshman in college, people would read it and say, you're writing about a freshman in college in 1977 or not necessarily now. Did you do any research, like go to like college dorms and see what the freshman experience is like now?
Not much. I do have a fair number of like young clients, so I get those exposures and just family members and neighbors, but
I'll tell you, in 1977,
yeah.
the first week of college, moving into the dorm, it was just like a wild orgy, man. Everybody was just getting, because it was a co-ed dorm. Co-ed dorms were the thing, and nobody, and man, it was just like let's all have sex one-on-one, like trade partners, like an orgy. And I think for a while parents were under the idea I'm just sending my kid off to school, and they didn't realize they were sending him off to like get chlamydia. And well, chlamydia wasn't a thing there. Herpes, I guess, whatever, gonorrhea, syphilis were the things in those days. But that's what the college experience was like.
Well, okay, not in 1969 at the University of Michigan.
So we went a long way from in those 7 years.
Well, it was a very political, it was a very political era when I started.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
There was a lot of that too.
I was recently doing some political work, and they sent me to the dorm where I lived in 1969. So happened to be the same place.
Wow. So
I have a question real quick then, because in '69 the big thing was the protesting the Vietnam War.
Yeah.
Recently, the college kids got their undies in a bunch over Gaza and Israel. Now, were the kids more informed about the Vietnam War in '69 than the kids today that are protesting the Israel-Gaza war?
That's a good question. I think really mixed. I actually remember myself feeling ill-informed. In other words, you were sort of following this wave of protest energy, and sometimes I felt like, gee, everybody's sort of mindlessly supporting. It turns out we were supporting a good thing. I think ending that was a bad war. But a lot of people who were just kind of following the wave or carried by the wave probably didn't know much. Although I have to say there was a lot of effort, at least in Ann Arbor, to educate people. A lot of teach-ins. That's when the teach-ins started. So there was an effort there.
Do you think that the prospect of a draft in '69 versus today not having a draft affected the way the children? Man, I'm so old.
Yeah.
These college kids are looking at these wars.
I'm sure that was powerful. Yeah. But and then the other thing, that was happening, of course, I was just coming, from another world. Again, pretty ignorant, but was sort of feeling the interweaving of, it was really the civil rights movement interwoven with war protests.
There was so much going on there, and that's why in my memory, there's no comparison. I mean, you hear about kids demonstrating or protesting here and there, but in 1969, it was everywhere. I mean, there were protests constantly, and there was Nixon and shooting down kids on campuses and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It was
and
wild.
I think the draft probably was a big factor in bringing it home to people. This is, your own life.
Now, I know I was 8. Well, I was 8 to 9 years old in '68, '69, and I was opposed to the draft mainly because in our neighborhood, all the kids played together. When we played football, if you were 8 years old to 20 years old, you could all play on the same. We all played together. It was just neighborhood games, and once they started drafting our best players, the Army was drafting our quarterbacks, our running backs, and next thing you know, all we had was a team of scrubs to play, and I was really upset because the draft was killing our draft.
Yes.
And I wanted my friends back home so we could play football. It had nothing to do with war. It was affecting my playtime.
Everybody comes at it from their own
Yeah, it's kind of
context,
shallow,
right?
G.
Very shallow
8.
individual.
He was 8.
Yeah, geez, that's awful.
Yeah, but we all benefited from my shallowness because I still wanted them home. I still protested. I still marched, even though it was like, bring back my quarterback. Bring back. No, it's like,
yeah.
So do you feel like young people are as engaged in the political discourse now, or because I think the more people turn, this is what's surprising to me, at least if these numbers are true, that more young people turned out in this last presidential election, but more of them voted like in conservative.
Yeah.
That's surprising to me. Like it's not a thing you generally expect from young people.
I was surprised too. Yeah. And after spending a lot of time on campus, talking to young people about the election coming up, I don't know what the voting was like on this campus exactly, but yeah, I was surprised.
Yeah, it's hard to figure out what the because mainstream media is what it is, but they are all tuning into these podcasters who are kind of influencing their ideologies and belief systems and all that stuff. It's really hard to pin down what the youth, what's going on in their minds, but generally.
Yes, because and younger people do seem so much more inclusive and less, uptight, to use an old word, about gender issues.
Right. So if you're a young,
why are they voting? So
if you're a young person, you know that when Donald Trump stands up there and says that you're sending your kids to school and they're coming home a different gender, you've been in high school, you know that that's not true. You know that nobody's going to the nurse's office and coming back the opposite sex.
Could you imagine that? Like, where's Johnny? Oh, I don't know, but Jennifer just showed up. Like,
what is really surprising is that adults believe that. People.
You think there's actually some human being that believes that somewhere? I guess
that's
so.
Wild.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, Susan, I have a question. It says here that you, let me see, it says inspiriting friends and dogs of all shapes and sizes. Like you're really pushing the dog thing. My question is, what did cats do to you? How did the cat hurt you? You can tell us.
I like cats actually, and I've had cats, so nothing.
Why no love for the cats then? It says dogs of all shapes and sizes, but
because
nothing about the cat.
I don't know if you know this, CD, but in Ann Arbor, they're eating the cats. They're eating the pets
the cats
of the
are
people
gone.
who live there.
They're gone. Yeah, there are no more cats. So.
Right.
All the more reason we should protect them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do love cats as well, but there's a dog in the book, so I think we're gonna represent the dogs more prominently.
All right.
Well, I think the next book needs to have some cat love in it. No.
Yeah, maybe next book. Yeah.
Right.
I kind of think I have put more dogs in my novels than cats. I'm not sure any cats have made it.
Yeah. Your next book should be titled "By the Way, I Meow You."
Yeah.
Just right there.
Yeah. I love cats.
If we come back to this book, though, by the way, I love you. By the way, I love you. What I know you say young adult, but is it a mystery? Is it a coming? I mean, how would you describe the content here?
No, I mean it's not a mystery. Of course, there's some things that have to unravel that have a little bit of a mysterious element, but no, it's not a mystery. It's really about this kid. The love in the title is important because she is trying to sort out partly her relationship to her mother who died, and the question of whether or in what ways her own mother did and didn't love her. And then she also is feeling a lot of misery about the fact that she was quite unloving to her mother as the mother was dying. Of course, she was 15 and she was kind of bratty, testy, difficult 15. So pushing the mother away, not being very sympathetic. And then, of course, that's common with people that age, but usually you get more years later to have some more of a rapprochement and an adult relationship, but she didn't have that. So her last memories of her and her mother are really memories of her own unsympathetic behavior toward her mom. So she doesn't feel good about who she is in certain ways. And now she's trying to make new friends. She has this young guy who kind of loves her. And she's trying to figure out whether, in a sense, does she have anything to give? And also, does she feel safe being vulnerable enough to let him love her, to explore a sexual connection with him? And then there's this whole other theme where she kind of, there's a person in an older guy who's actually takes care of the local cemetery, and she and the dog go to the cemetery to sort of get away from the world, and the dog has a habit of like tearing up the cemetery so it looks more like a prairie dog village. So the older guy is the caretaker, calls them out for that, but sends them off to explore this kind of wonderful piece of wild land where the dog can run around and not do too
Some
much.
creepy overtones here, Susan. I got to tell you, I feel like we're drifting back towards the serial killer conversation.
No.
Sergeant, oh man, I don't
Older
know.
guy with a cemetery fetish. Got that, Stephen? Write that down.
Does that not sound like Ron?
It does.
And oddly enough,
Before the
he's not
beard.
here right now.
Yeah.
He's more of a spirit guide kind of guy, but anyway.
No, I could relate to old creepy old men who hang out in the cemetery and then look for young girls. Yeah. Definitely.
Okay.
Oh God.
Yeah.
So she ends up kind of getting very into this wild piece of land until the developers come along and want to, tear it all down and name the.
You're a kinky girl, Susan.
Name the development after.
Now I see what the fascination with putting the shame in context is. Now I get it.
Now, could you explain to that? Because CD had opened up with that, and when he first came on the show this morning about shame in context, and I was struggling. What the hell does that mean? Shame in context.
Oh well, I wrote that a long time ago, but I think I was talking about. By context, I meant sort of where it shows up in the office, like clinically, like what kind of a personality is going to come interact with you as a therapist who has a lot of shame issues. So where does the shame fit into the person's larger life? It's not just a momentary experience. It's sort of in the context of a history and relationships and so it's not just a momentary experience. It's sort of part of the whole person.
Well, to me, and I should lay down on the couch when I tell you this, shame is an ongoing. I think you're right. It doesn't last for one particular thing, but I'll find the next thing to feel shame over within moments. As soon as I give up the shame or
For
not
one
give
thing.
it up, sublimate the shame of one incident, I will be completely ashamed of something else. And is that I don't know if this is that more common in people in the performing arts? Do you have people in the performing arts who come to see you?
I have over the year, I've been doing this a long time, so there's probably not any profession that I haven't had some exposure to. But yeah, I think shame, but maybe more, a lot of more vulnerability to embarrassment, which is a little more situational, a little bit lighter, a little less deeply rooted. Shame is something that you truly feel bad about that
Right.
component of yourself. It's not just, oh shit, I
I
wish I
think one
hadn't
of
have said that. That was a bad moment.
I think one of the prerequisites for being a good comedian is the lack or the ability to either sublimate shame or your lack of ability to feel shame. Because to me, I would be suicidal every night with shame, and like nobody loves me. Anytime somebody didn't laugh at a single joke, I would be extremely just ready to end it all.
I had the shame bullied out of me, man. I lost that real early on in life. I have no shame in what I do. If I do it,
Shame bullied out of you.
I'm actually more interested in shame as a tool of control, because people that's one of the things that parents try to use shame as, well, not just parents, but that's where it starts, where the parents try to shame you into behaving a certain way. And even to the point where people try to even shame their animals, like shame on you for pooping on the rug, like a dog understands. Eventually the dog will become ashamed, even though he doesn't know what shame means. But
I don't know how many times I have to apologize about that rug. I am sorry.
but in politics, there used to be a time when you could get a politician, if he did something wrong, you could shame him out of office. You could shame him into an apology. You could shame them into doing the right things. And that doesn't seem to exist anymore, except for maybe on the left, where they become ashamed even before they do it. They thought about it, they're ashamed, they become ashamed and resign. But on the right, they say, I did it. I only did it 7 times. It's not like I did it 8 times. Why should I be ashamed? And you don't have it on tape.
34, I think is the number.
Yeah. So is there, do you see like a causal thing or correlational thing where just people in power just feel like they are entitled to no longer being ashamed? And if that's too heavy and too weighty, we can go back to talking about the cats.
Yeah. No. No, I totally agree with you. I think it's actually remarkable how invulnerable people seem to be these days in politics, in some groups anyway, to shaming, a willingness to say, I did it. It's nothing, what are you going to do about it? Maybe there's some shame under there, but if there is, people respond to it kind of with a reversal, where instead of hiding the action, they'll just flaunt it and say, hey, what are you going to do about it? Or get angry. Sometimes people, this is common with shame, that when people are shamed, they get angry at the person who's doing the shaming. Sometimes appropriately, like kids who are bullied, good for you if you can get angry at the bully. But now even kind of reasonable sort of ask of someone, could you look at your behavior and maybe feel some shame about it? Well,
right.
Even beyond that, even beyond them feeling shame, I'm going to be very specific here. I'm going to take Hegseth, for example. Pete Hegseth. Pete Hegseth. This is going to be my example. He not only does he not feel shame about what he's done, or because he, as I'm concerned, he did it because you don't pay off somebody to not talk about something you didn't do.
Yeah.
So matter of fact, I have to pay people just to get them to talk about shows I've done. So you don't pay them to talk about things you didn't do.
Right.
So he's done something that's pretty bad. Otherwise, the NDAs wouldn't exist. But then there are people who aren't even holding him to account. People who didn't do it. People whose job it is to be. It's their job to scrutinize, and they don't even want to shame them. That is what's. I mean, I can almost understand a person saying, "Look, hey, don't be digging into my life. That was my past. I'm a changed person. Jesus saved me. I'm not ashamed."
Yeah.
But then there are people who were affected by it, or the people whose job it is to hold others accountable. They have no shame. They're saying, "Well, I will support him. I have no shame that he's an accredited drunk or rapist or whatever."
We're setting the tone at the top, and falling down from there. Yeah.
Is it
truthfully with if we're talking about our leadership to be, I don't know how much you guys get into politics here. So
we don't discuss politics here at all.
I'm not naming names, but I'm even more impressed by the lack of guilt than the lack of shame.
Well, in his case, he's a psychopath. We know that he's a narcissist psychopath. Not everybody is that far gone.
Yeah.
And that's why I did not use him as my example, because I don't believe that someone with a narcissistic personality and a psychopathic personality can feel shame. But I don't believe Hegseth is a psychopath. I think he's just a spoiled rich kid who thinks he's entitled. Or a spoiled, entitled person.
Look at you being a diagnostic psychologist here.
Well, that could be more of the Gates dynamic, you mean, or
yeah.
If I do it, it's cool. It's not, offensive and lacking in any sort of morality, and having real victims who get hurt by this behavior. It's just, fun and games. Fraternity boy stuff, or
just to me, it's just the people who enable and put their stamp of approval on that kind of behavior, instead of saying, this is a society where we all want to go in the same direction. I'm not saying that people need to walk around with their head held in shame. I don't think that should be our case, but I honestly believe that people should at least acknowledge the fact that some of the things they do is hurtful. And we should stop hurting people.
Yeah, I agree. The people I yell and scream at the most and write letters to that seem to have absolutely no impact, are more the enablers, who seem like in their own personal lives they wouldn't be doing these things. They appear to have some sort of intact conscience, but yet they're enabling the worst of the worst. Because they're scared of losing their job, and half of them are over 80. I'm like, really? Do you need another term in the Senate? Is it that wonderful being there? It doesn't look like that much fun, truthfully, to the rest of us. But no, you got to get reelected. So
it just seems to me that society has
off the man.
It seems to me that society has people who build, people who move into the things that have been built, and then people who destroy. And it just seems like the people who destroy are just taking over, and the people who build aren't fighting back, and the people who need to move into the things that have been built are not fighting back either. And it seems the destroyers. And there should be a balance. There should be a balance of all three.
Yeah.
But we're way out of balance.
Yeah, and what's truthfully so discouraging to some of us is people who are builders or need what's built or whatever. I don't know, the metaphor could work different ways, but voting for the people who are gonna destroy the basis for their own prosperity. It's at least that would be what I'm seeing.
Right.
So why are you voting for these super rich guys who only just want to get richer and do not care about your future? But,
I'm getting attacked by a three-legged cat who was angry that we have a lady on the program who was who was a fan of dogs and not cats, so she's a little upset with me right now.
And just so you know, that cat lost its leg it chewed its own leg off trying to get away from that.
Right. But now it's back.
Well, the dog in the book, does some pretty rotten things, so it's not completely a hero. So I just say that.
Good.
So,
There are some heroes in the world.
Yeah.
Now, with your writing, do you generally take this this kind of approach to coming of age fiction stuff, novels? Is that your genre?
No, no. In fact, this is the first young adult book that I've written, but I have, as I've thought about it, I've noticed that young adults are often main characters in my fiction, even if the intended audience is older. So I think I'm kind of drawn to that age group. And I did also the one psychology book that I wrote that was kind of a self-help book, more not for psychologists, just for people, was called When Parents Have Problems, and it is written for young adults or teens, maybe older kids who have a troubled parent that they're trying to cope with. So there's a lot of books that are written for parents who think their kids are very troubled, and the parent, and I shouldn't be laughing at it. It's a legitimate thing, right? Parents need help sometimes with the kids' problems, but this book is actually written for kids who have troubled parents and are trying to grow up despite the fact, that their parents are actually really getting in their way in some pretty profound ways. So
It always comes back to Freudian stuff, doesn't it? I mean, we've had a lot, believe it or not, a lot of the comedians who I've talked to are really obsessed with the idea of mental health, mental illness, and mental health awareness and all that stuff. But we've had a lot of psychology professionals, psychiatrists on recently, and it seems it always comes back to parenting. The conversations always come back to parenting and our relationship with our parents and all that stuff. That always feels like blame to me. And I'll come back to the idea, because my parents were screwed up, but I keep coming back to the idea that there's no manual on how to be a good parent. We all do the best we can. And I know I was a screwed up parent, but on that level, there has to be some forgiveness of that. I think a lot of what we talk about in mental health challenges comes back to conversations about parenting. It's like, give it up, man. That was your first 18 years. What happened since then?
Well, parents are important, and I think understanding your experience with your parents can be very important. That is different from blame. Blame is really kind of useless. It doesn't really get you anywhere.
Yeah.
It doesn't even feel particularly good. You just to walk around angry all the time. But to understand, what led to what and how you came to have some of the struggles you have so that you can try and get past them, that I think is valuable. So I would separate out blaming from understanding.
Yeah, it's a hard thing to wrap your head around, because I think you have to forgive before you can start to understand, right? You have to say, well, I wasn't, and this is not. You don't very rarely hear people say what I just said. That I know I was a screwed up parent.
Well, and you have to, just like you may feel better in some ways forgiving your own parents for the ways they did poorly. Sometimes people have to work on forgiving themselves, because you're not going to be a perfect parent either.
All right, can we talk about this cover? Because I'm curious about this cover. It's like a silhouette of a young lady with the words "over her." Did you choose that cover? Did you or did a publisher choose that cover for you? I mean,
the publisher. Well, I had a conversation with the publisher about some of the elements of the book that they might want to represent in the cover, and then they send it off to their graphic artists and come up with some samples, and then you kind of say, okay, this one works better for me than these others. So there are elements of the cover that, like the girl who's the protagonist, she has this hoodie that's important to her. So that's represented in the silhouette. And I think also the hoodie is a little bit of a covered up look. So she's kind of self-protective at times. So that kind of worked for me. You also see on the cover, there's a lot of natural things growing from inside the space, like
It's hard to
flowers.
tell. The font is so big, it's hard to tell what's going on
Oh,
behind there.
okay. Well, there's little branches and flowers, and so there's the nature theme there, the environmental awareness
Right.
element.
I really
No.
dig the blue, honestly.
You do? Well, I would call it teal.
Or almost, yeah.
How about
Teal.
turquoise? I go for.
Turquoise, yeah.
Yeah,
It looks good, though. I like that.
Turquoise.
Very soothing.
Look at us. We're New Mexicans now.
And
I call that color Sherman Williams number 753.
Sherman Williams, wasn't he the guy on the Jeffersons?
Yes, that's him.
Yeah.
Sherman Williams 753.
And I call it robin's egg blue. So I like
Ooh.
the color. Yeah,
I like that too. There you go.
Yeah.
Now the publishing industry, I think the publishing industry is all screwed up. But when you do this, because is this book made to kind of give people an idea, the cover of the book, give people an idea from the because most of books are bought online. Brick and mortar bookstores are a rarity, and they became. But is there a difference between how you make a book appealing for somebody to pick up and say, "Oh, that looks interesting to me," online versus the old-fashioned bookstore?
Yeah, that's a really good question or point, because the first novel that I published with the same publisher, we had a very abstract cover. It was sort of an abstract art that we all loved. Everybody loved this cover, and we decided later it was a bad choice.
Wow.
Because it didn't represent very well digitally, because it was subtle, and just the subtlety didn't really come through. So as much as we liked it, it probably wasn't a good choice. So I think this time there was a little bit more awareness of what looks good in a tiny little square on your browser.
Yeah,
This might be a little more appealing. Although, as you point out, there's some detail on the cover that probably doesn't really come through.
Probably would if I was like on Amazon, though, where you could actually blow it up and look at it bigger than we're looking at it here. To be fair, this isn't the best representation of what it looks like online when you go to purchase. But it's always an interesting thing to me. Like, how do you stand out in a sea of, I don't know how many books are published every year, but I think it's more than the population. I think we have 8 billion people, but 9 billion authors somehow.
It's very hard. You're trying to get yourself on TV shows and podcasts. And see if anybody will buy your book.
Do you go the extra route of because a big part of it is communities. I like lots of authors build like online community spaces where their fans get together and discuss the books and feel like a connection to the author. Do you go that? That seems like a lot of work.
It is a lot of work, and it is a little conflictual for me, given my other occupation, where you're trying to maintain more privacy. So it's a hard line to walk.
Yeah.
I haven't done too much there.
I imagine it would be, and it's not fun. Like because I was discussing my grandson's piano courses, and I said to my wife, it doesn't seem like he's being encouraged to have fun. And to me, the creative process, creativity should always be about play. They call playing music. I think the same is true of writing, reading, all this kind of stuff. It's about enjoyment, and I think we lost the ability just to enjoy things, and everything has to be disciplined. And I think some of the stuff we could drop a little bit of the discipline and
Yeah,
just be
yeah,
more.
Yeah. Do we have to do 10,000 hours? Can't we just stop at 9,500?
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and enjoyment is the biggest driver of persistence. People usually accomplish a lot when they're persistent, and you don't necessarily have to be the most talented individual on earth. If you persist, there is research that shows that it's the persistent people who actually accomplish a lot, not always the most brilliant. And of course, pleasure is part of what drives that persistence. And
Yeah.
creative pleasure, to me, if you have creative pleasure, you're a lucky person, because it is a special kind of pleasure and not everybody has it. Although I think more people than you might realize, they'll have it in their own little sphere that they don't necessarily talk about. It might be baking cakes, or it might be something in the garden, but they'll get that same kind of creative delight.
Yeah, along those lines, I'm reminded of Howard Stern interviewing Billy Joel. Billy Joel said he hates songwriting. He likes when he finishes the song, when it's complete, but he
Oh,
doesn't really enjoy the process. And well, he's so good at it, you would
yeah.
think he would enjoy the process. Is it when you are writing, I'm just going to come out with the assumption that when you're writing, that's your happy space. I mean, for me, that the creative process, that's where it's happiest. But are you happier in that space when you're writing, or the completion of the book when it's done and ready to be published? What is the biggest
Yeah.
personal reward for you?
Well, I mean, those are such different experiences, but I think really there is more pleasure in the creating. You imagine maybe there'll be greater pleasure in the completion, but I think in reality, it's more in the process.
Is there ever
Yeah.
sadness in the complete? Like, I was enjoying writing this book so much, I hate to end it and now give it up to the world.
Well, I haven't felt that because there's always the next thing you can go on to. I know some people get so attached to their characters that they grieve.
Yeah.
That's not me. I don't feel that way.
Well, from the reader perspective, there is that, right? They hate when a book ends because I was just really starting to relate to this character. He was becoming part of my life, or she was becoming part of my life, and now she's got it's almost like a friend dying.
Yeah, I know that can be a reader's experience.
Yeah.
And I have to say, yeah, go ahead.
So there's a French expression, and I think it's l'esprit de l'escalier, the spirit of the staircase. It's the feeling you get. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have that with any of your books? Because it's now the book is done, it's over with, it's closed, it's being sold, it's out there, and then you said, "Damn it!" It really would have been nice there.
Oh, yeah, well, I'm never satisfied. And I don't say to my books, by the way, I love you. I say, by the way, you could have been a little better in this department or that department. Better write another one, because I'm not so satisfied with the last, so I tend to be more critical. But so I just then have to just close it, move on. It's not for
Right.
me anymore. It belongs to the reader or the publisher.
See, now
Yeah.
I'm not going to speak for Matt, but I think he's probably been there where you've done a song or something and you've recorded it, and then it's like, maybe an A minor would have been better than an A major seventh.
Yeah.
But it's already recorded. It's already out there. People are singing it, buying it,
Yeah.
whatever. And
And
so I
try
don't know if
and
you had that with the books.
try and keep it to yourself. Don't tell your readers it's not as good as it could have been or something if you'd done this or that. Just keep that to yourself. Go on, do the
Do you
next
do
one.
you try to do you think of it trying to incorporate that idea into, let's say, another book, because you've had it and sometimes it takes root. It wants
Yeah.
to grow. It's like, okay, I'm an idea and I'm going to grow. So do you use it someplace else and just like as an homage to where it came from, or?
Okay, sometimes, yeah. If it stays with
Homage.
me, yeah.
I like that. Well, we do appreciate you being on the program. Good luck with the books. Now,
We're going to ban it. We're going to put it on our bandwagon.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're going to ban the book. If you're a young person, especially, do not read
Do
this
not
book.
read this book.
Yeah,
It's full
and
of, it's full of sex, things you shouldn't be reading.
This
about.
book is bad. Okay.
Yes.
Going back to the my childhood or my younger days, I remember Abby Hoffman steal this book. Steal it. So for the young people, don't pay for this book. Do not go on Amazon today and buy this book, whatever you do. Go to SusanBethMiller.com, but don't click the links to buy the book. Absolutely do not do it. It's forbidden. You don't do it. Anyway, we appreciate you being here. If if at any time you feel whether you're publishing something new or just want to talk more about this kind of stuff, we welcome you back. Thank you for being part of the program this morning.
Thank you. It was a lot of fun.
Have a great day. Bye for now. Bye. Oh, look, I'm hiding behind the book. Can I address?
You've never looked better.
Well, I have. I was hiding behind a bigger book when I looked better.
That's true. You did look better that day.
You notice there's a multi-family real estate project hiding behind me in the background there.
It's not hiding anymore. It's not hiding.
I was hoping we could figure out a way to make some money, get these people, because they're getting rich off of multi-family real estate.
Are they getting rich? Are they? Are they?
I don't know. It looks like Ron was just hiding from the psychologist. Don't you feel like
self-defense?
She's gonna figure out who I really am. I cannot expose my kinks. I just want to address something you said because it hit me in the heart. Not really. Hit me in just below the heart. I think it was in the solar plexus.
You mean in the hole where your heart would have been if you had it?
And is it water?
That's exactly what I mean. Thank you. You were very insightful today. Because last night I was rewatching the Rick Beato interview with Steve Lukather. And one of the questions Beato asked Lukather is like, when you hear your stuff on the radio, do you remember mistakes or things you wish you would have done differently? And he said, he's never played on a record where there weren't mistakes on it. And he said, all my favorite records have mistakes on it, but I forget what they were because I don't listen to my song. When we finish it, and this is my experience too, I will listen for, when it's finished and I'm publishing it, I will listen to it over and over again all day long for about a week and then never listen to it again. And so, but pointing out the mistakes, yeah, they're all there, and to hear a guy like Lukather talk about making mistakes makes me feel like, oh, I'm not alone in this. He said every record he's ever played on, he's one of the studio musicians who's played on hundreds and hundreds of really successful records. He said there'd never been one that there weren't some mistakes on. So let that go. It's a tough thing though, but. Yeah, so you were asking her about, do you want to readdress that? I've never said, well, I got to do something different to address the mistakes I made on the last record.
But in our case, like, for example, in our cases, and not me so much because I'm not in a performing band anymore, but there was one particular song that I wrote it one way, we recorded it a different way, which I should have not agreed to. Let me take that back. I'm getting two songs mixed up. The drummer made a mistake, and in the song, he made a mistake, and I let it go because I was trying not to be a Nazi. It wasn't like a huge grammatical thing. It was a timing thing. Nobody on the face of the planet would ever know. I knew because I wrote it. Nobody else would know, and I said, okay, let it go. But when we went to perform it live, I made sure that mistake was not there.
See, no, I would go out of my way to make sure he did that same mistake because we want to keep it consistent with the record.
Yeah, see, and I'm like, no, I want you to hear what I intended to make. I want you to hear my intention. Okay, that was not what I intended. I want you to hear my intention. But so
people who are familiar with the record are going to think you're playing it wrong live now. Hey, that's not the way it goes. I got the record.
Or they got a new interpretation of it. It's kind of like... It would be like if Billy Joel doesn't play the Piano Man the same way every time.
I think he does.
And he uses the same chords, but at some point he just, maybe hold a riff a little bit longer and looks at the audience and smiles and waits for them to sing Piano Man.
No,
does it differently.
I think Billy is one of these sticklers, and you just picked a particular guy who I think is a very anal. I'm going to do it exactly the same way every fucking
But he
time.
doesn't. I've listened to him. I've watched him. I've seen him. He doesn't do it the exact same way every time. He takes liberties,
You're
just
watching
like
Billy
Elton
Joel
John
be
does.
anal?
We are going to be having a guy who is in his band. I've had Liberty DeVito, who was his drummer for many, many years. I've had him on the program. Mike Delgadis, from Big Shot, who he was in a Billy Joel tribute band, but now Billy takes him, he's in concert, and he plays the piano parts for Billy, so Billy can get out in front, and he also plays rhythm guitar in the band when Billy wants to play piano. We're going to have him on the show in the near future, and we'll ask him about this, but I'm pretty sure.
See, we can actually both be right in this, where he's anal, but it's like, okay, we're not going to do it the exact same way, but this is the way we're going to do it. And it's different, but we're going to do it this way. I'm going to be anal about
We're going to have
this
him on just so he can call you wrong.
There's no way he's going to call me wrong.
I think he will.
Fuck that.
I'll pay him. I'll pay him to call you wrong. Anyway.
So he would sell his soul to make you right, so that he'd be wrong. That ain't right.
All right.
You may be right. I may be crazy.
You may be right.
But it just may be a lunatic you're looking for.
Wow. Steven doesn't know that reference. Would you get Steven to mellow out, by the way? I think he's he's out there.
I have no fucking idea anymore. I have no fucking idea what they're talking about. I'm like, I didn't do anything, and maybe they thought like it was like a balance, like not that I did anything directly, but my presence countered his presence never. Or because initially when I read it, I thought they was talking about the author, that because the author is more frantic sometimes. They said,
yeah,
and I balanced him out. That's what I thought, but
I don't know. It's a weird way to kind of pitch your way onto a show. By the way, I watched your show this morning. I'm friends with the author you had on. Steven was a little bit out there, but GD mellowed him out. I was like, well, what the fuck are you, what kind of pitch is this to be on the program?
I don't know what to do anymore. Am I too crazy? Not enough? Do I calm down? Do I act up? I don't know what to do with
stop
my
being out there. Stop being out there.
Or did he mean out there like you'd zoned out to look on the internet for 45 seconds? That's what you did do. And
I think yesterday you were listening to another podcast while...
Yes. And you owned up to it. You owned up to it. You said, well,
I did own up to it, but like I said, it was only for about 45 seconds and that was it. Like I didn't.
Oh, I thought you were listening to the whole shebang. All right.
No, I listened to the whole shebang.
You did. Did you watch the whole shebang?
And then some. Yes.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk about that at a later time. There will be a time when it's appropriate to talk about that, and now it's not it. I want to come back to one other thing that Steve Lucas said to Rick Beato, which I really kind of been thinking about. He said, if you listen to modern rock music today, pop music and rock music, you'll hear a lot of great players, lots of really great musicians, great musicianship. But what you're not hearing is a lot of great songs. There's not a lot of great songs. And I thought, wow,
that's very true.
Right.
But a lot of that is the influence of the record companies trying to regurgitate something that's already been successful.
Damn, he's fucking insightful today. I don't know. So he took his insightful pills this morning.
Why'd you poke me, Ben? No.
Right. Either that or I have brain damage since yesterday, which could be. But so I wanted to, because Rick didn't follow up with that question, like, why do you think that is? And I think it's corporate America. I'm reluctant to share this because it almost sounds like, oh well, look at me. I should have been a It's not that. In 2000 or 2001, somewhere around there were bro country was just starting to take off, and there was a very successful band, whatever, out of Nashville, who was going to cover one of my songs. They heard their A&R guy got hold of one of my songs. He said, great song. I'd like such artist to do this. And I was like excited by it. I got a check for like $1,600 in advance on them doing this, and they had the song, and I signed off on it. BMI got involved in all that stuff, publishing. And then they kept sending it back, like they added more writers to it, and by the time heard the version that was going to come out, there were 16 different writers on it, and it didn't sound anything like the song I had written. And the only thing that was like 75% of the title I understood, because they changed the title of the song and added more words to it, and like 75% of it was mine. I was like, this is not my song at all. I said, take my name off of it. BMI was like, no, you can't. You got to realize this could be a hit, and you're in for a lot of money here. You're killing yourself over. But it was a pride thing. It's like, I didn't write this song. This is unrecognizable to me. But I think that's the problem. They've created the suits have made it so it's not good enough as a song. The song that they wanted to do was not good enough, so we have to add more writers, more producers, and all this stuff. And by the time that happens, it's not a good song anymore. It's a too many cooks in the kitchen type of thing, where the suits got involved and just kept wanting to improve until they improved it to hell.
Now, also the thing is, let's say you left your name on it. I don't know if you did or did, but your name is on there. The song becomes a hit. Someone else comes to you to write another song. They want you to write a song like that.
Right.
But you didn't write. You started it, but it was finished by like a bunch of other sous chefs.
Yeah.
So you may not be able to duplicate that. And also, your collar on your right collar is crooked and it's bothering the hell out of me. Can you fix it? it's your lapel thing. It's just crooked. It's just bugging thank you. God,
I can't even see it. It's so black in there. I couldn't even see it. Well,
it's
I'm
been
sorry.
bugging me for quite some time. It's like, oh, come on. Because I think either the cable or something that keeps pulling it up. And it just takes a while. Like right now, it's already
I can't
again.
even see it, but I'm sorry.
Again.
I'm sorry it offended you. It's such a terrible.
It's not
way.
offending me. It just bugs me.
Oh well, I'm sorry.
I'm
sorry it bugged you.
I can't look at you in the eye.
I'm apologizing for it bugging you. Well, let me finish apologizing. I sincerely apologize for the bugging of you with my lapel. The bright side, the happy ending here. It wasn't a hit. It was a total flop. I don't think they even fucking.
But you got to keep the check.
Yeah, $1,500 in 2001 or whatever it was. It was enough at the time, I guess. But if it would have been a hit, it would have been like millions of dollars. So, yeah, no. The happy ending is it was a flop because I took my name off it, and I would not have been in line for the residuals then. But the reason why there's no great songs anymore, I think, is just the suits get involved. I don't like when suits become involved in the art. There used to be business people and the artistic side were separate for a good reason. Now you have all these corporate guys who don't know shit about art getting involved in trying to, improve the art. And,
but it's not just corporate too. It's now there is so much music out there. Because I think the stat is like 10,000 new songs get released every day.
Yeah,
is roughly so. That's what 70,000 songs a week. That's insane.
Right.
Now, is that worldwide or just in Maryland?
Yeah, it could just be in one state, but it's rough. There's so much shit out there, and you really have to wade through the shit to find the good stuff.
Right. Yeah. So it's not, and I bring that point up too, because whenever people say there's no good music today, it's not that there's no good music. It's hiding under a fucking mountain of shit. That's what you got to fucking get a shovel out and
and
really
it's all content. It's all contents like that from music. Film is basically that now.
Yeah.
Comedy.
TV, everything,
and it all comes back to the gatekeepers, right, Stephen?
Yeah.
What was that, huh? What was that, huh?
Sending your parents a letter, tell them you're a whore.
Yeah, I knew we would get to that eventually.
I'm gonna calm you down before you go and get into Matt. Calm down, breathe deep, count to 3 in Swahili. That should slow your brain down a little.
Swahili.
Yeah,
funny.
That's how you stop the rage. You slow the brain down. So count to 3 in Swahili, and that will.
It's odd that you mentioned Swahili because that word Swahili popped into my mind early this morning, and I was wondering: is Swahili a language? Is it a ethnicity? Is it a I don't know why I was thinking about Swahili, but then to hear you bring it up this morning,
it's actually
kismet.
It's a Baskin Robbins flavor.
It is.
It's the 30-second flavor.
What's in it? What's in it?
Well, it's got a lot of brown, a lot of black, some African herbs, spices, goat milk. I don't know.
All right,
you shouldn't have called my bluff. Now you got me trying to think of a Swahili flavor. I don't know what's in a Swahili flavor.
I know.
Little Swa, little Healy. I don't know.
So what have we learned here today? First of all, we've learned that real estate people don't show up. The best way to get rich in multifamily real estate properties is to not show up.
Mm-hmm. I think we also learned that our other guest may have been a serial killer.
Right. Or at least fascinated by serial killers, old men who have cemetery fetishes who go after young college freshmen. Right? Is that
the serial killing started when she moved to that town? That's interesting. Yeah.
Okay then. You got anything else worth talking about here today?
Ron had show business.
Oh, you know before when we were talking, and I think our friend there who lost his beard, that guy who lost his beard.
Oh yeah.
He has a friend. Talks a little funny guy. He was standing, that guy, RFQ, I'm talking about, Brainworm Boy, had spent almost his entire career suing environmental companies, right? This is how he made his name.
Yeah.
Companies that were in violation of environmental protection laws.
Yes.
And then he's standing behind Trump as Trump is saying, if anybody who donates $1 billion, even foreign countries who donate $1 billion to the United States of America, we will make it easy for you to get into business and wipe away all environmental restrictions and all that stuff. And RFK was standing behind him, and you could just see his face like, I can't believe I fucking sold my soul to this motherfucker. I mean, the look on his face is just
I think we misinterpreted that look. I think his look was, I can't believe I sold my soul for so cheap.
Yeah, okay, no. That's probably more accurate. You're right. But it's all these kind of people are starting to figure out, like the people who voted for him thinking the price of eggs were going to come down, only for him to say, it's really difficult. I don't know.
If I could lay eggs, I would.
Yeah. So everybody's kind of figuring out they sold their soul way too cheap.
That's just it. They shouldn't be just figuring that out. That's what really annoys me. It's not like he just came onto the scene and razzle dazzled them. No, he was here before and he was a liar. I don't understand why people keep picking Republicans to fuck things up and then putting in a Democrat to have to fix it. Okay? Obama had to fix Bush 2's mess. Biden had to fix Trump's mess. Clinton had to fix the guy before him's mess. Bush 1. They have to, and these people say, I got a great idea. Let's vote somebody who's going to fuck it up. And then they go like, oh, we need somebody to fix it. Okay, it's fixed. Let's not vote for somebody who's going to fuck it up again. It doesn't make sense. It's like burning. It's like building a house and burning it down and building it again. It just does not make sense. People are just so fucking stupid. It's annoying to me.
Well,
what are you going to do about it?
He doesn't like history. We don't like to read our history, so we end up repeating it over and over again.
So, but what are you going to do about it?
Me?
Yes.
I'm going to hold up my Constitution.
Constitution.
I'm going to stand behind.
I threw out my Constitution.
Well, here we go.
I'm going to wear my Constitution like a bulletproof vest. So when people shoot at me, my Constitution is going to stop it. And people throw rocks at me, my Constitution is going to stop it. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but my Constitution will heal me. I don't know what I'm going to do.
I don't know. We're not going to do anything. We're not going to survive.
No, I'm going to survive
No,
because
you're not.
I'm just like that rap singer. What's her name? I will survive. I
Gloria
don't know
Gaynor?
how. Is that her? That's a Mitzi Gaynor.
Gloria Gaynor, right?
Gloria Gaynor. Yes, I'm going to be the Gloria Gaynor of comedy. I will survive, and I will make it rain men. Was that also her? Who rained men?
I don't know.
Donna Summer. No.
Raining
Paula
Men
Abdul?
is
Paula
Raining
Abdul?
the Weather Girls.
I don't know who made it rain men. Ron actually knows. He just doesn't want to know that he does not want us to know that he knows who sang "It's Raining Men."
Ron,
Yes.
mellow out. GD, mellow him out. He's way out there.
Ron, you're way out there. Count to three in Swahili.
Right. Yeah. So that guy, by the way, did book a date in January. Now, I'm not going to be alive in January, so you guys can interview him then. He said, "It seems like a really fun show. I'd like to get on your show." I was like, "Okay, sure." It's not really hard to get on this show. Apparently, it's hard to find this show. Apparently, according to some people,
and also it's harder to enjoy it once you find it. No,
right.
I don't know.
All right, you guys got anything to plug? You got big shows coming up tonight. Ron is at Fratelli's, right?
Yep, tonight is Fratelli's 8:00 in New Cumberland, Pennsylvania. It'll be me, Casey Nicholson, Damian Robinson, and Jeffrey Paul tonight.
All right. And how's the food there? Is it good?
The food is really good. So
for
come on out.
Pennsylvania. I mean,
Yep.
really, for Pennsylvania. It's not
Grab
like
a
a New York
table and
Italian.
we'll have some fun tonight.
All right.
Now, for those who do not know, Damian Robinson is the D in DNR. Or is he the R in R&R? He's either R as Robinson, or is he the D as in Damian?
I would think Ron is the R.
Yeah, Ron is the R. So who's the N? Damian's the N also. He's the D and the N word.
Yeah, it's funny that people always think that it's named after our names, but it's actually "Do Not Resuscitate."
Now I wonder. I think I don't really want to go here, but I want to. Without getting sidetracked here. I want to start a podcast, a new podcast that suggests good podcasts for people to listen to, not just bashes other podcasts. Like I want to find, because there are some worthy ones out there, some really good ones out there, right? That are not getting enough attention. Right? Am I right?
Okay, sure. I assume so. I agree.
Now, what would those be like? So, way past funny. Is that one of the good ones that we should be highlighting, or is that not? That doesn't qualify.
I think it's interesting. I mean, but of course, I'm biased. Otherwise, I wouldn't have put my name on it.
Is it a little too long? Like these 9-hour interviews, just a little.
You know what's funny is that you were talking about music and stuff being oversaturated, and podcasts is the same thing.
I think podcasts, but I agree, but I think it's taken a step back. Like during the pandemic, it was like the beginning of COVID, it went off the charts. There, like literally everybody and his mother had a podcast. Now, I think a lot of those have faded. I know a lot of people who started a podcast in 2020, and they're no longer doing it. So,
and also, a lot of the podcasts are still out there because it's like in the ethers, but they haven't made new content. You can go back and see some of these podcasts are still out there, and you look, wait a minute, this episode is like 3 years old. They haven't done a new episode in 3 years, but it's still out there.
Right.
Yeah,
and I think most of the new ones that we're hearing about, like this Bobby Atliff, those are nobody's calling them out for that shitty. I mean, getting in bed and having a conversation with a dude in bed with all your clothes on. I mean, it's not like sexual. I don't know. There are a lot of bad stuff. I don't want to get into it.
Well, and also some of the things that I think the people realize that what they're doing is either blasé or just so-so, because they said, okay, we have to do a podcast, but what's going to make ours different? We'll do it from the side of a road in front of a dumpster, and we'll call it dumpster fire. Okay, great. That's it. Dumpster fire, and we'll do it in front of a dumpster. And what do they talk about? The same shit they would have talked about if the dumpster wasn't there.
I think we should do a podcast called End of Days, where every week that we have a guest on, but they're broadcasting from their bed because they're getting ready to do an assisted suicide.
Isn't that
Do
me?
we get to assist them in suiciding?
Isn't that me?
Yeah. We
I've
just
been...
spend that last hour like, hey, why are you doing this? And we're like, I got nothing to do on a Wednesday. So,
I like Ron. I'm gonna pull a Matt here, not a Matt, but what Matt was talking about. I'm gonna be one of those billionaires who's gonna buy your idea but fuck it up. So I like the concept, end of days, but instead what we're going to do is we're going to interview people who think the end of days are coming and find out who they're going to sell or leave their stuff to, and what are they going to do when the world doesn't end. We should talk to people who predicted the end of the world, it didn't happen, and find out why it didn't happen and can they get their stuff back.
No, you can't get their stuff back. But that brings me to a whole other, because a lot of the Trumpers I know, and I'm sorry, we go. It's part of reality.
I have one more podcast I want to pitch.
All right, well, let me just finish this thought. Let me just finish this thought. That a lot of the Trumpers are end of days people. They believe the world, though you're making America great again in your mind for the end, so it could end on a high note. Is that the idea?
Yeah, so Jesus will come back to a great...
Why not just let it go to hell? I mean, the Epicurean, let's eat, drink, and be merry. I'm of the Epicurean mindset. If the world is truly coming to an end, smoke all the fucking weed you got. My whole idea was, if you know you're going to die, max out your credit limit. Fucking just go out on a cruise ship with a fucking bag of fucking great green weed and hookers and blow, right?
Yeah. 100%.
No, Ron, you were talking about the idea you wanted to pitch.
He forgot.
Yeah, no, I'm going to sell this to Sirius XM. It's called From the Womb to the Tomb. And what it's about is about people that have sex with pregnant women and dead women. Or dead men, too. Let's not discriminate. From the womb to the tomb.
I thought this was an abortion show. I really did. Like, they're in the womb, and we're going to go straight from the womb to the tomb. Nothing in the middle.
And what you're getting,
we just simulcast abortion.
That's what people want. You're looking for a niche audience, and that's it.
Yeah, that's a strange niche, but it's a kind of niche for people who run away when there's a psychologist in the room.
That would make sense, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think that's what the big takeaway from this.
Out of curiosity, Ron, is Laura in favor of your clean-shaven face, or does she want the Wolfman back?
No, she's happy with this.
I was just curious because
it looks like you're growing in the back a little, or you're just not shaving.
I shaved like 2 days ago, so I'm gonna shave today or tomorrow.
Ron grows hair just by thinking. I mean, he's like a chia pet, only not so chia and not so petty.
Yeah. Well, Stephen feels the same way. Like the way Ron's wife feels about his beard. Stephen feels the same way about my balls when I shave them. I know he has said he prefers it that way. When he's
wait, that's actually another podcast.
Ball shaving?
We could call it "What's in Your Beard," and we bring on people that have beards.
And pick through their beards for 45 minutes and see what we find.
Yeah, it was like, someone had some orange chicken a night ago.
Ooh, your wife has a yeast infection.
Is that my friend? Is that my girlfriend that's smelling your beard?
Yeah. No lie. There was a time when I was after a gig, and the guy across the booth from me, a band member, had a big bushy beard, and I was like, "Is this something in your fucking beard, man?" And he like what? Pulled it out, and it was a fucking piece of bacon from breakfast that morning. He had in his fucking beard all day until 4 o'clock in the morning at the diner after a gig. And it wasn't like a well-cooked piece of bacon either. It was like fatty and stuff. Like, what the fuck, man? Carrying that around all fucking day with you and not knowing it was there.
But did he eat it?
Yes.
Hey, I love going to a sandwich shop when they're making your sub right in front of you, and they're like, "Hey, do you want some salami in that?" And the guy just pulls it right from his beard.
So, yeah, the Pull From Your Beard podcast, look for that. Maybe it will be featured on my podcast to watch show.
And that'll be also called DNR. Do not reuse. So,
Yeah, but that is kind of gross. So maybe it should be a sandwich shop where the sandwich makers just keep meat in their pockets. And so, like, do you want some turkey? Then you just pull it out of your hand.
Coincidentally, I can gross out even more than that. What I talked about back in the day when I worked on the back of a garbage truck, and my brother, I was subbing for my brothers one day. He was, my ex-brother. I was subbing for him on the back of a garbage truck, and the other guy who rode the other back wheel, this guy Steve Kilbasi. Steve Kilbasi. That's He actually had a kibasi fucking sausage in his pocket on a hot summer day, working on the back of a garbage truck, and he would take it out with his garbagey glove, pulling it out of his pocket, and take a bite of it and stick it back in his pocket. You don't get any grosser than that.
I can taste a little bit of Captain Crunch on that last bite.
So, Steven, does your wife like your new beard? Well, it's not new now.
Wow, I didn't even notice how big it is. It's like a Zank wannabe, isn't he?
Yeah. Was your wife missing Zank, and that's why you grew it?
Right. Yeah. Because she confuse you for Zank because you're starting to Zank a little bit.
Does she call you that? Does she call you Zank in bed now, just to make you feel good?
Nope, it's still just Poppy. That's all it is.
I'm growing out my pubes. That's what I'm doing.
And
cornrows, right? Cornrows or dreads?
Yeah. Stephen and Scott are going to put together a new comedy duo act called Zank and Stank. And basically, you can't tell who's apart. Which one's Zank and which one's Stank. Well, you
smell the beard. Smell the beard. You can tell.
Smell the beard.
My beard smells like coconut oil.
Are you close with Zank? Or are you just...
We're good friends.
Yeah.
Good Facebook friends are good real life friends.
He was scheduled and then didn't show up. Why has he not made any effort to come back and make good on his
that's a good question. We haven't talked in a little while. Last I heard he was just having some issues with like his car and his business and stuff. So,
but the car doesn't stop him from being on the show. He didn't have to drive to the studio.
No, but the car keeps him from doing his job, which keeps him from being able to make money to pay for the internet to be on the show.
All right.
Oh, he should have done the show before the internet got cut off.
Agreed.
Whenever you say cut off, I get a little twitch down below. I don't know why.
It didn't say drill.
They don't just cut off your services. They give you notice. They say like you have 2 days to, and he's like, okay, let me get on these. Let me surf. Let me get on.
Like I said, we haven't talked in a little while, but we've all been busy. So.
All right.
And I know like some companies have, the WTMD program, which you can enter to pay your bills as well. So please keep that in mind if you're out there.
What
that mouth do program. So
yeah. That's why I want to be a landlord.
It's not
want to be a landlord. Or lifeguard landlord.
Yeah. Want to lord your land.
I guess I'm going to tell myself to turn on the radio, right? We have shows next week. You don't care. You don't care who's coming. You know who's coming on? Fucking authors. That's who's coming on. We got to get some comedians back. I'm a musician.
Has Liz stopped sending you pictures, Matt? Because she hasn't responded to any of my texts, and I just don't know if she's like, but she's still posting on TikTok. I'm trying to get her back on the show to give us an update on what happened at the Supreme Court. And
you're talking about Queen Elizabeth?
Yeah, Queen Elizabeth. Yeah, by now
she sent me. Here's the thing. Last night at like 2:00 in the morning, she sends me another picture of her looking as beautiful as she looked in her youth, And she says, perhaps we'll try again tomorrow. Like, what do you mean? You're coming on the program? It would have been good to have her on the program today, especially in light of the real estate people didn't show up. But like 2 o'clock in the morning is a little too late for me to schedule this for today's show was really what it was. But yeah, I mean, she's got to stop titillating me. I mean, I'm an old man. A little bit of excitement could kill me.
I'm your teacher.
To see young, beautiful
and
women.
I find you attractive.
The show is like it is.
Right.
Trying to avoid
exactly.
Okay.
I want. This is why I shouldn't say that. I almost.
His hands were soft and supple.
Yeah, exactly, and his dick was even softer and suppler. Yeah, don't go saying bad things about guests. But I think if we're gonna have women on the show, I want old, ugly women on the show. That's what I want. So it doesn't excite me at all, and there's no chance of me getting even.
And we only want hot bears, and older women.
Oh, you're back.
Oh, let me go dig up my mom.
And a few otters.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you, Tuck. All right. I guess any of you guys want to say the phrase? You want to say the phrase that pays? What's the? By the way, you're on the air with the dog. Do you know the phrase that pays?
Finish inside.
Turn on your radio.
That's right.
Finish inside me.
I
me, listen to me now. Listen to me, listen to me, listen to me now. Listen to me, listen to me, listen to me now. Listen to me, listen to me, listen to me now.